Chapter 1755. But now that they've been intimidated by Xiao Bao's 3 executions, they're scared witless, and they promptly retreat from the crowd. There's also a portion of people who don't want to continue doing evil, but they're also unwilling to give up their core formation cultivator's dignity to give into a little fasting brat, so they also silently retreat. In the end, there are only 24 core formation cultivators who remain. But this time, everyone who remains has clear eyes and resolute expressions. In their eyes, there's remorse, rejoicing, determination, and also infinite hope for the future. They not only sincerely want to repay the debt of gratitude and redeem their sins, it's also because in the battle, just now, they've seen the formidable strength of the Netherflame army. Perhaps, just by looking at cultivation and personnel, the Netherflame army is just an ordinary army. But when Jun Mayan and Jun Machin join this army, it will become a completely different and frightening powerhouse. Perhaps one day in the future, this army will shock the entire Xiojin continent, and they want to become one of them before that. Xiaobao looks at them for a while. After confirming that their will is unwavering and that there's no flicker in the depths of their eyes, he separately assigns them to the 4 battalions of the Netherflame army, under the command of Yin Haotian, Bai Yichen, Feng Haitang, and Ru Yin. Yin Haotian and the other 3 accept the core formation cultivators as subordinates. There's no trace of timidity on their faces, but each and every one of them is nervous. With such powerful subordinates, they have to work harder and become stronger as soon as possible, so that they can shoulder the responsibility of a battalion commander and live up to the expectations of the Miss and the Little Master. Luo Tian sees that the Tian family's core formation commanders have defected one after another, and some even directly rely on Jun Mayan. For a moment, he's so angry that he almost faints. Rebel, all rebel! Luo Tian screams loudly. Have you all forgotten how formidable and powerful the Lord is? Daring to betray the Lord. Have you ever thought about what will happen to you? It's fine if he doesn't speak. The core formation commanders are immersed in joy and sadness, forgetting his existence for a moment. But as soon as he speaks, the hateful gazes of all the core formation commanders are fixed on him. Luo Tian's voice stops abruptly, beads of sweat the size of beans dripping down from his forehead. Meeting the core formation commander's devouring gazes, he retreats in horror. Ew, what do you want? I'm warning you, don't act recklessly. Otherwise the Patriarch will never let you off. Then, the eyes of these golden core commanders who had been oppressed for a long time had already turned red. They didn't care what he said at all. They all rushed forward and beat up Luo Tian and Tian Haiba's trusted subordinates, as if they were venting their anger. Shrill screams could be heard from time to time, accompanied by the splashing of blood and the cracking of flesh and bones. The students on Tai Square couldn't help but shrink their necks. They felt as if their bones were hurting as well. After a quarter of an hour, the Golden Core cultivator finally finished venting and retreated with red eyes. The leader, Li Zhongjin, carried Luo Tian, who was covered in blood and on the verge of death. He throws Luo Tian in front of Mu Yin and Xiao Bao. He's Tian Haiba's biggest lackey. Miss and Little Master, please deal with him. Luo Tian faintly opens his blood-stained eyes and glares unwaveringly at Jun Mayan. You can't kill me. I am the Patriarch's trusted aide, and my sister is the Patriarch's most beloved concubine. Killing me is equivalent to declaring war on the Tian family. Chapter 1756. Do you think we're afraid of the Tian clan? Lung Yuma sneered. Even if that old dog Tian Haiba is here, we'll still beat him up. Luo Tian was not angry, but laughed instead. Ha! Cough, cough. Ha! You lowly idiots, don't you know what the Tian clan represents? The Tian family isn't just the Azure Blue Realm's Tian family. In the Purple Cloud Realm, the Tian family is also an illustrious family. Our Tian family's ancestor is a tribulation transcendence almighty. If you really offend the Tian clan, not to mention a mere carefree team, the Netherfire army, even the entire Starry School will be annihilated. Luo Tian said. Jun Mayan, Don't blame me for not reminding you. As long as you have the slightest bit of intelligence, you should obediently submit to my Tian family and offer a humble apology to our patriarch, asking for his forgiveness. Otherwise, everyone here will not have a good ending. And you. He pointed at the group of Gold Corps commanders and gnashed his teeth, his eyes filled with hatred. All of you just wait. Once I return to the patriarch's side, I'll definitely dismember all of you traitors into 1,000 pieces. And your family. I'll let you see how I torture them to death right in front of you. The expressions of the Golden Corps commanders instantly became very unsightly. Their relatives also shed tears of fear when they recalled the days of captivity and torture. Even the Starry School teachers and students were filled with righteous indignation, but they did not dare to kill Luo Tian, because they knew that Luo Tian was speaking the truth. The few clans were doing well in the Azure Blue world, not only because they were powerful, it was also because they had a powerful backer behind them. Housekeeper Zhu frowned. Luo Tian, are you threatening our young mistress and her benefactor? Luo Tian laughed shrilly again. Zhu, I know you have a backer in the Purple Cloud realm, but your backer is powerful only because he is respected and everyone is willing to give him face. But in terms of strength, my Tian clan's ancestor only needs one person to destroy your entire Zhu clan. So I'm warning you, if you know what's good for you, you better not speak. Because if we really offend the Tian family, even Zhu Fugue would not be able to bear the consequences. Manager Zhu's face alternated between green and white, but he didn't say anything in the end. Because in the Ziyun realm, the Zhu family's strength was indeed inferior to the Tian family. Seeing that everyone was rendered speechless by his words, Luo Tian became even more arrogant. He even forgot about the pain in his body. He imagined how he would torture these people later, how he would make them kneel in front of him and beg for mercy, and he felt a burst of joy in his heart. However, at this moment, a thunderous roar resounded in the air. I wonder if I, Nailan Qing, have the qualifications to offend your Tian clan? Luo Tian was startled. He suddenly looked up and saw a few figures descending from the sky like lightning. Seeing who it was, Luo Tian's pupils suddenly constricted, and his entire body trembled uncontrollably. Following that, shouts after shouts could be heard coming from the sky. I wonder if I, Murong Bai, have the qualifications to offend your Tian family? I wonder if I, Duan Xiangyang, am qualified to offend your Tian family? Chapter 1757. I wonder if I, Lu Junjiang, have the right to offend the Tian clan? I wonder if I, Feng Yi, have the right to offend the Tian clan? In the blink of an eye, 5 figures had already appeared in the sky above Tai Square and slowly descended. 5 torch-like eyes stared coldly at Luo Tian, their eyes filled with sharpness and murderous intent. Luo Tian's entire body trembled. Suddenly, he felt his crotch heat up, and a yellow liquid slowly flowed out from between his legs. At this moment, there was only one word in his mind: I'm done for. Nailan Qing and the other 4 looked at Luo Tian in disdain, then turned to Mu Yin and Xiao Bao. Before they could greet each other, the little kids in their arms jumped down one by one and ran toward Xiao Bao. Boss, we're here to see you. Boss, is someone bullying you? We're here to support you. Yes, boss, we're here to help you. Whoever dares to bully you, we'll beat him to death for you. Boss, we missed you so much. It's all Dad and Mom's fault for not letting me come to see you. Mayan and Xiao Bao are quarreling incessantly with each other. Xiao Bao frowned and said in a low voice, too noisy. As soon as the 3 concise words came out, the little fellows immediately covered their own mouths and kept quiet. They even reached out their little hands to cover the mouths of others. They wouldn't quarrel. They wanted to be the most obedient little brothers. Mu Rongbai and the rest felt very upset about the fact that their lawless little ancestor was like a little puppy in front of Xiao Bao. He might as well turn his head away. Out of sight, out of mind. Nailan Qing looked at Mu Yin and stroked his beard. Miss June, I didn't expect the Tian clan to be so crazy and come to Starry School to cause trouble. We didn't come earlier and scared Miss June, the crowd in Tai Square thought. Haha, I'm really sorry. We're the ones who got scared. The Miss June you speak of can only scare others. Mu Yin smiled. It's all right. It's quite interesting. At least the Tian clan's trouble allowed her to reunite with the Netherfire army. Just based on this point alone, she was in a really good mood. Nailin Sheen coughed lightly. If Miss June wants to make a move against this Tian family's lackey, you don't have to worry at all. If anyone wants to pursue you because of this matter, my Nailin family will bear the responsibility. The same goes for our Moron family. The Duan clan is also willing to ensure the safety of Miss June and the Starry School. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth raises into a shallow arc. Really? I can deal with the Tian family at will? Nailin Ching sneered and said, Relax, a mere Tian family. My Nailin family still doesn't put them in my eyes. Furthermore, the Tian family brought this upon themselves. You can deal with Tian Haiba's lackeys however you like. If Tian Haiba or the people from the Purple Cloud World's Tian family dare to ask a single question, my Moron family will let them know who is the #1 family in the Azure Blue world. A bright and beautiful smile blossomed on Mu Yan's face. Then many thanks to the patriarchs. As she spoke, she looked at Li Zhongjin, who was standing behind Yan Haoyan. I'll let you do it. Li Zhonggen's eyes lit up, and then tears appeared in his eyes. His father, his sisters, and his family were all forced to their deaths by the heartless Tian clan. Now, the only family he had left in this world was his old mother. Yet for the sake of his old mother's life, he still had to work for his enemy. Chapter 1758. It was Luo Tian who had brought troops to force the Li clan. Li Zhongjin wanted to tear Luo Tian into pieces even in his dreams. But he also knew that the Tian clan was such a powerful force that not everyone could afford to offend. He thought that he would never have the chance to take revenge with his own hands. Unexpectedly, the young mistress had given him the task of killing Luo Tian. Li Zhongjin walked towards Luo Tian step by step, a blood-stained long sword in his hand. Luo Tian placed his hands on the ground, shaking his head as he retreated desperately. His face was covered in snot and tears as he begged for mercy. No, don't kill me. I can give you all my treasures. I'm willing to do anything for you. Please don't kill me. Don't kill me, Luo Tian raised the knife in his hand and swung it down. A head covered in blood rolled to the ground. Li Zhongjin knelt on the ground with a thud and wailed. Father, sister, uncle, I've taken revenge for you. I've finally taken revenge for you. On Tai Square, the cries and laughter of many Golden Essence Realm commanders and their families rang out. Then, the other Golden Essence Realm commanders also picked up their swords and killed Tian Haiba's trusted subordinates one by one. The show of the Tian clan surrounding the Starry School and forcing Mu Yin and the others to submit finally came to an end. Nailin Qing and the others had originally wanted to ask Xiao Bao how he had taught their precious grandchildren to allow them to improve so quickly. But Mu Yin and Xiao Bao had just reunited with the Netherfire army and obviously had a lot to say. Nailin Qing and the others hesitated again and again, but in the end, they still suppressed all the doubts in their hearts. Under Meng Baichuan's arrangements, they stayed in the sleeping quarters of the school of the Emperor's Star. Before parting, Nailin Qing and the others said to Mu Yin once again, You don't have to worry about the Tian clan. The 5 clans have already sent a letter to Tian Haiba, telling him not to cause trouble for you. If he dares to provoke the Starry School again, the 5 clans promise that we will definitely make him suffer a great loss. As for the Tian clan of the Purple Cloud World, humph, with the 5 clans' guarantee, even the ancestor of the Tian clan will not dare to act recklessly. Nailin Qing and the others also knew how powerful the Tian family was in the Azure Blue realm, and Tian Haiba's cultivation was also extremely strong. He was at the first level of the Nascent Soul realm and was about to enter the second level. This level of cultivation was even higher than Feng, Yi, and Duan Xiangyang. Nailin Qing was afraid that Mu Yin and the people from the Starry School would be anxious because they had offended the Tian clan. They also wanted to be on good terms with Mu Yin and Xiao Bao, which was why they kept assuring her. Mayan's smile is sincere and affectionate, but her eyes are somewhat bottomless. All right, Then I would like to thank the several masters once again. Devour numerous flying ships carried the people of the Xiaoyao school and the Netherfire army back to the Alcade branch. The sudden appearance of so many people, if it was any other place, it would definitely not be able to accommodate them. But the Alcade branch was different. In the Alcade branch, even including Xiaobao, there were only 8 people at most. Countless palaces were still empty. The Netherflame army only needed to clean up a little, and they would all be able to settle down. However, no one was in a hurry to clean up their rooms. Instead, they surrounded Mayan with tears in their eyes, telling her about their experiences in the past year. In reality, just as Mayan had guessed, the reason why so many people in the Netherflame army could ascend was because of the spirit-molding pill and spirit-raising pill that she had left behind. Chapter 1759. Moreover, before Mu Yin ascended, she had already taken out the spiritual vein that she had absorbed into the space and buried it in the Dark Flame Valley. With the spirit-molding pill and spirit-raising pill to transform their bodies, coupled with the nourishment of the spiritual vein, most of the Dark Flame army successfully reached the peak of the pre-celestial stage. They crossed the threshold and touched upon the path of body-forging cultivation. Later, when they went through the heavenly tribulation, another group of people were injured. In the end, there were 1,972 people who came to the Xiojin continent. Such a large wave of people with weak strength coming to the Xiojin continent should have been extremely eye-catching. If they were not careful, they would become the target of public criticism. But their luck was extremely good. The captain of the Great Void Battalion, Shui Yin, turned out to be the long-lost granddaughter of Zhu Fugui, the richest man in Blue World. Zhu Fugui's wife left him only a foolish son, Zhu Kuanyou. Zhu Fugui had countless illegitimate children, but the one he loved the most was Zhu Kuanyou, this mentally retarded son. Just because this son was the only child left by his wife. However, few people knew that Zhu Fugui's wife had actually given birth to a daughter. But because of an accident, his daughter disappeared for no reason and was never found again. Coincidentally, at that time, Steward Zhu was handling some business in Min Lu Jie and accidentally saw the jade pendant that fell from Shui Yin. Steward Zhu had followed Zhu Fugui for many years and naturally recognized that it was the late Madame Zhu's personal item at a glance. Moreover, Shui Yan's appearance was too similar to Zhu Fugui's wife, so there was no need to doubt her identity. At that time, Steward Zhu did not make it public, but ordered the Zhu family to secretly protect Shui Yin. If she encountered any trouble, they must do their best to help, and he went back to inform Zhu Fugui. Because of the Zhu family's protection, the Dark Flame army quickly gained a foothold in Min Lu Jie and marched into Blue Cloud World. They absorbed a lot of forces in Min Lu Jie and also developed a lot of forces. The Celestial Secret Unit and the Longevity Unit had even secretly planted their men in the various sections. On the other side, Zhu Fugui learned that his wife had a granddaughter wandering outside. He immediately had mixed feelings and hurried to Blue Cloud World to meet Shui Yin. In this way, the Dark Flame army received the full help of the Zhu family, and the forces under them and their own strength developed rapidly. Luo Tian ridiculed that most of the Dark Flame army's cultivation was only at the first or second level of abstinence. To devour. However, he did not know that these people used less than 2 years to reach the first and second level of Anidia realm. And now, in Min Lu World and Azure Cloud World, other than those great families and sects, the other places had already been infiltrated by the Netherflame army. Now, in these 2 realms, when mentioning the Netherflame army, it was no longer an unknown small faction. But even so, when the Xiaoyao squad was in the limelight at the Jasper Forest Gathering, when Mayan's name resounded throughout the 3 realms of Canglan, Qingyun, and Minlu, they still didn't hesitate to gather and rush over to pay their respects to Mayan and Xiaobao. 1,952 people, not one less. He did not regret entering the Netherflame in this life. They had always been part of the Netherflame army, and they would always be part of it. Miss and Little Master would forever be the leaders of the Netherflame army. That Tian family is really too much. They actually dared to make a move against young Miss and young Master. It's a pity that we are not strong enough. Otherwise, we would definitely go and destroy their nest. Chapter 1760. Miss, how did you and Little Master survive this past year? What happened in the Wuong Mountains? Mu Yin suppressed the emotions and longing in her heart. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as she said in a clear voice, "Let's not talk about this first. Tonight we still have one more thing to do." "What is it? Please instruct me, miss." Even the members of the Xiao Yao sect looked over curiously. Mayan flips her wrist, and the Tian O Chin appears in her palm. Her slender, snow-white fingers lightly pluck on it, producing a melodious sound. She turned to Yun Ruhan and the others and smiled. "Senior brother, let's go to the Tian family tonight and wipe out Tian Haiba and his lackeys." The entire square was silent for a moment. The fiery red sunset shone on everyone, as if they were plated with a layer of golden red. Yun Ruhan opened her mouth, and after a long while, she stammered, "Junior, are you serious?" That was the Tian family. This was the fourth great clan of the Azure Blue Realm, the Tian clan that had a nascent soul cultivator. The curve of Mayan's mouth becomes more and more languid, more and more wanton. "What? You don't dare?" "Ah!" Lung Yuma waved the blade in her hand and was the first to laugh. Good, good. How can I not dare?" This old lady has been suppressing a belly full of anger, waiting to chop Tian Haiba, that old tortoise. "Little junior sister, you're really more and more to my liking." Luo Yu grinned and said, "I was still thinking that with sixth senior sister's temper. How could she just let him off when he stepped on our heads?" "That's right. That's more like sixth senior sister style." Thinking back to the whole unitary sect, those people who were stripped naked and had sex naked. Do you think that the reputation of the demonist Jun Mayan came casually? Qin Jiuai. I'll listen to little junior sister. Ling Yusheng. We are the unfettered seven. If we're going to act, of course we're going to act together. On the other hand, Chu Moli's smile was much warmer and gentler. There was a clear smile in his eyes. "I didn't get to join in the liveliness this morning. What a pity." "That's good. Looks like I'll have more materials for my paintings." Yun Ruhan looked at her excited juniors and rubbed her throbbing forehead. How could he casually say that he wanted to wipe out a great family of the upper realm? Was this a fucking decision a human could make? Just a quarter of an hour ago, the patriarchs of the Nalan family, Murong family, Lu family, Duan family, and Feng family were still earnestly comforting her junior sister, telling her not to be afraid of Tian Haiba's revenge. Just 2 hours ago, before Ning Yaowang left, she gave her little junior sister an array disc so that she could activate it and ask for help when Tian Haiba came for revenge. But what about his junior sister? Just by turning around, he was going to wipe out Tian Haiba along with the entire Tian family. What could he do? He was also in despair, right? Apart from accompanying them in their nonsense, what other choice did he have? A brilliant smile blossomed on Mu Yan's face. Her fingers lightly plucked the strings of the zither once again. The sounds of nature, accompanied by the sweet-sounding music, reverberated in the ears of every member of the Dark Flame Army. Netherflame Army, listen up. Here. The entire Yao Guang branch trembled from the sound of the shouts. Tonight, trample the Tian family and execute that old thief Tian Haiba. We solemnly obey the Mrs. Command. Wherever the Netherflame Army went, they won every battle, sweeping everything before them. This whirlwind engulfed the entire Yinwu continent. Chapter 1761. One day in the future, he would also set off a monstrous wave on the cultivation continent. Ever since Luo Tian brought the majority of the Tian army and set off, Tian Haiba had been calmly waiting for the good news to arrive. He had no doubt that there were hundreds of golden core cultivators. Even with the addition of more than 2,000 Tian family troops, they still wouldn't be able to bring back the 7 people from the Alcade branch. Once he gets his hands on her, he'll definitely make Jun Mayan and those Yaowang branch bitches who don't know what's good for them suffer. He'll definitely let them know the consequences of offending him. Tian Haiba. Master, you seem to be in a particularly good mood today. Luo Ingman leaned into Tian Haiba's arms and said in a coquettish voice, "Is there any good news?" Tian Haiba looked at the beautiful and charming appearance of the woman in his arms. After playing with her for a while, he smiled and said, "You have a good younger brother. He can share my worries. If this matter is really done well, it seems that Luo Tian's position and cultivation will also rise." Luo Tian's innate talent was not high. The reason why he was able to advance to the 8th level of Golden Core was mainly because Luo Ingman was doted on by Tian Haiba's side. Tian Haiba loved Luo Ingman and gave him a lot of medicinal pills. Therefore, if Luo Tian wanted to raise his status and cultivation, he could only rely on Tian Haiba's rewards. Hearing this, Luo Ingman immediately revealed a shy and happy smile. "It's a Tian's duty and honor to share your worries. Patriarch, you are too good to us siblings. In the future, Tian will definitely do his best for Patriarch, and this servant will also serve you even harder." "Hey, how are you going to serve me?" Just as Tian Haiba was about to pounce on her, the room door was suddenly knocked open without warning. The steward of the Tian family stumbled in. Patriarch, it's bad." Tian Haiba was just about to raise his spear and go into battle. How could he not be angry when his mood was suddenly interrupted? He turned around and glared coldly at her with a murderous glare. "Get out!" Normally, after being reprimanded by the family head, housekeeper Tian would have run away. However, at this moment, his eyes were filled with fear, his face pale as he spoke in a trembling voice. "Family head, it's not good. All the properties of our Tian family in the Green Forest and Green Forest have been purchased by the Dark Flame Army. Even the shops in the Azure Blue world have been squeezed out by the Nether Flame Army and acquired a small portion of them. Patriarch, many of the stewards in those villas are relatives of the Tian army. Arranging them in these positions was to make the Tian family army work harder to be loyal to you, Patriarch. But now that these shops are all gone, the Tian family army will rebel sooner or later. Furthermore, our Tian clan's expenses are huge. Without the income from these farms and shops, how are we going to sustain ourselves in the future?" Before housekeeper Tian could finish his words, Tian Haiba was already furious. He slammed his hand on the newly added mahogany table. With a loud bang, the thick table broke into pieces and debris flew everywhere. Luo Ingman's clothes were not on. At this time, she was splashed by the debris, and her snow-white skin split open several times. She immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. However, how could Tian Haiba care about her now? He roared at housekeeper Tian. "Preposterous. What is that Nether Flame Army? They think that with the support of the Zhu family, they dare to target our Tian family. Good. That's great. Gather the Tian family army immediately. I want to swallow every single member of this Nether Flame Army alive." Chapter 1762. Housekeeper Tian wiped the sweat off his forehead and said hurriedly, "Clan leader, you are right. Let's call back the Tian army now and snatch back those shops immediately. We might still be able to make it in time." Although the Nether Flame Army and Zhu clan had used legal methods to acquire Tian clan's businesses, but the people of the Tian family were already used to plundering. Was it bought? Then snatch it back. Anyway, Tian Haiba, rarely used crystals to buy things in the Azure Blue world. If he wanted it, he could just snatch it back. Who dared not to give it to him? Then he would break up the other party's family and break up their families. Devour Tian Haiba laughed coldly and said, "Send someone to the Starry School immediately and ask Luo Tian to act faster. Just a few brats and girls from the Starry School. After so long, they still haven't brought the people back. What does he do for a living?" Yes. Housekeeper Tian's face lit up. He glanced at Luo Ingman and spoke up for Luo Tian. Perhaps Lord Luo Tian wanted to teach the Starry School a lesson. That's why he delayed. Tian Haiba nodded. He did not doubt this at all. Luo Tian came late. It must be because he wanted to toy with the Starry School's teachers and students. It would be best if he could bring the entire school under the Tian clan. Housekeeper Tian was about to leave. He was thinking about how to snatch back his family's lost profits from the Nether Flame Army. Just as he reached the door, he suddenly bumped into a Tian clan guard who was rushing in. Steward Tian staggered backward from the impact. Just when he was about to lose his temper, the guard ignored him and rushed to Tian Highball. Master, clan leader, the Tian clan army. The Tian clan army has been completely wiped out. Hearing this, Tian Highball was stunned. Housekeeper Tian even laughed out loud. Are you joking? The Tian clan army had more than 2,000 grain-fasting cultivators and hundreds of golden core cultivators. You said that they were completely wiped out? The guard seemed to have thought of something. His face was full of fear and his teeth chattered. Yes, the entire army completely wiped out. Luo Tian is dead. Over 100 Jindan stage commanders have all defected. It's the Dark Flame Army. That Dark Flame Army is Jun Mayan's subordinate. It was them who defeated 2,000 of my Tian family's cultivators. Dead, injured, captured. Not a single one escaped. He was only patrolling outside and did not participate in the battle. When he heard the commotion and rushed over, he realized that the Tian clan army had been completely wiped out. Tian Haiba only felt a huge explosion in his head and his face turned red. Are you joking? He didn't believe a single word of what his guard said. If you dare to mislead people with your lies again, do you believe that I won't crush you right now? The guard desperately shook his head. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. Tian Highball raised his hand and was about to slap the guard to death, but at this moment, a white light suddenly shot into the room. It turned into an exquisite paper crane above him. Tian Highball took the paper crane and looked at it. Immediately, he was so angry that he saw stars. The blood in his body surged crazily, and his eyes bulged out, filled with a crazy killing intent. Zhu Mayan, Netherfire Army, how dare you destroy my Tian army? I will tear you to shreds. Housekeeper Tian scrambled over and picked up the paper crane that Tian Highball had thrown on the ground. He opened it and was dumbfounded. Chapter 1763. Mayan flips her wrist, and the Tiano Chin appears in her palm. Her slender, snow-white fingers lightly pluck on it, producing a melodious sound. Her gaze turns to Yun Ruhan and the others, and she chuckles. Senior brother, tonight we'll go to the Tian family and wipe out Tian Haiba and his lackeys in one go. The entire square goes quiet for a moment. The fiery red setting sun shines on everyone, as if plated with a layer of golden red. Yun Ruhan opens her mouth, and after a long while, she stutters. Little junior sister, are you serious? That's the Tian family, the fourth great family of the azure blue world, the Tian family that has a nascent soul stage cultivator. The curve of Mayan's mouth becomes more and more languid, more and more wanton. What? You guys don't dare? Ha ha ha. Lung Yumal waves the broadsword in her hand, and is the first to face the sky and laugh. Good. Why wouldn't this old lady dare? This old lady has a belly full of anger, waiting to chop that old turtle Tian Haiba. Little junior sister, you're really becoming more and more to my liking. Luo Yu says with a smile. I was thinking that with 6 senior sisters' temper, how could she casually let someone step on our heads? That's right, this is more like 6th senior sister style. Thinking back to the Guei sect, those people who were stripped naked, painted naked, and ran around naked. Do you think that the reputation of the demonist Jun Mayan came so casually? Qin Jioi. I'll listen to little junior sister. Ling Yusheng. We are the unfettered 7. Of course we'll act together. Chu Moli's smile is much gentler, and there's a clear smile in his eyes. It's really a pity that I couldn't join in the liveliness this morning. This is very good. It seems that I'll have my painting material again. Yun Ruhan looks at her group of enthusiastic, belligerent junior brothers and sisters, and immediately holds her aching forehead, casually saying that they want to wipe out a great family of the lower realm. Is this a fucking decision that a human can make? Just a quarter of an hour ago, the patriarchs of the Nalan family, Murong family, Lu family, Duan family, and Feng family were still earnestly comforting her junior sister, telling her not to be afraid of Tian Haiba's revenge. Just 2 hours ago, before Ning Yaowang left, she gave her little junior sister an array disc so that she could activate it and asked for help when Tian Haiba came for revenge. But what about his junior sister? Just by turning around, he was going to wipe out Tian Haiba along with the entire Tian family. What could he do? He was also in despair, right? Apart from accompanying them in their nonsense, what other choice did he have? A brilliant smile blossomed on Mu Yan's face. Her fingers lightly plucked the strings of the zither once again. The sounds of nature, accompanied by the sweet-sounding music, reverberated in the ears of every member of the Dark Flame Army. Nether Flame Army, listen up! Here! The shout was so loud that the entire Yaoguang branch was shaking. Tonight, we'll flatten the Tian family and kill that old bastard, Tian Haiba. Yes, miss. Wherever the Nether Fire Army went, they were invincible and invincible. This whirlwind engulfed the entire Yinwu continent. One day in the future, it would also set off monstrous waves in the Xiuzhen continent. Ever since Luo Tian set off with the majority of the Tian family's army, Tian Haiba has been calmly waiting for the good news. He has no doubt that with over 100 Jinan stage cultivators and more than 2,000 Tian family's army, they wouldn't be able to bring back those 7 people from the Yaoguang branch. Once he gets his hands on them, he will definitely let Jun Mayan and those Yaoguang branch bitches, who don't know what's good for them, suffer. He must let them know the consequences of offending him. Tian Haiba. Urgent notice. Chapters 1756 to 1760 have been revised due to an error in the upload. Those who have read it, please take a look again, lest you can't connect to the following chapters. I'm sorry. Chapter 1764. Master, you seem to be in a good mood today. Luo Yingman leaned into Tian Haiba's embrace, speaking in a coquettish voice. Is there some good news? Tian Haiba looked at the woman in his embrace and played with her for a while before chuckling. You have a good brother. He can share my worries. If this matter is really done well, it seems like Luo Tian's position and cultivation will also rise. Luo Tian's innate talent was not high, and he was able to reach the Type 8 Golden Core mainly because Luo Yingman was doted on by Tian Haiba, and Tian Haiba had bestowed him with a huge pile of pills. Hence, for Luo Tian's position and cultivation to rise, he could only rely on Tian Haiba's kindness. When Luo Yingman heard this, she immediately revealed a shy and joyful smile. It is Tian's duty and honor to share your worries. Family head, you are too good to us siblings. In the future, Tian will definitely do his best for family head, and this servant will serve you even harder. To devour. How are you going to serve me? Tian Haiba was about to pounce on her, when suddenly, the door was slammed open. The Tian family steward scrambled in. Family head, bad news. Tian Haiba was about to raise his spear, and was suddenly interrupted. How could he not be furious? He turned around and glared coldly, his gaze murderous. Scramp! Normally, after being reprimanded by the family head, Steward Tian would have run away. However, at this moment his eyes were filled with fear, his face pale, as he spoke in a trembling voice. Family head, bad news. All the properties of our Tian family in the Green Forest and Green Forest have been bought by the Dark Flame Army. Even the shops in the Azure Blue world have been squeezed out by the Nether Flame Army and acquired a small portion of them. Patriarch, many of the stewards in those villas are the relatives of the Tian army. Arranging them in these positions was to make the Tian family army work harder to be loyal to you, Patriarch. But now that these shops are all gone, the Tian family army will rebel sooner or later. Furthermore, our Tian clan's expenses are huge. Without the income from these farms and shops, how are we going to support ourselves in the future? Before housekeeper Tian could finish his words, Tian Haiba was already furious. He slammed his hand on the newly added mahogany table. With a loud bang, the thick table broke into pieces, and debris flew everywhere. Luo Yingman's clothes were not on. At this time, she was splashed by the debris, and her snow-white skin split open several times. She immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. But at this time, Tian Haiba did not care about him. He roared at Steward Tian. How dare you? What was the Nether Flame Army? You think that with the support of the Zhu family, you dare to have ideas on my Tian family? Good. That's great. Gather the Tian family army immediately. I want to swallow every single member of this Nether Flame army alive. Housekeeper Tian wiped the sweat off his forehead and quickly said, Master, you're right. Let's call back the Tian army now. Let's immediately snatch back those shops. Maybe we can make it in time. Although the Nether Flame army and the Zhu family had used legal methods to acquire the Tian family's properties, but the Tian family had long been used to robbing. Bought away, then snatch it back. Anyway, Tian Haiba, rarely used crystals to buy things in the green-blue world. If he wanted it, he could just snatch it back. Who would dare to not give it? Then he would break up the other party's family and break up their families. Chapter 1765. Tian Haiba sneered. Send someone to the Starry School immediately and tell Luo Tian to act faster. Just a few brats and girls from the Starry School, yet they still haven't brought the person back after so long. What does he do for a living? Yes. Housekeeper Tian smiled and glanced at Luo Ingman, speaking up for Luo Tian. Maybe Lord Luo Tian wants to teach the Starry School a lesson. That's why he's delayed. Tian Haiba nodded. He did not doubt this at all. Luo Tian came late. It must be because he wanted to toy with the Starry School's teachers and students, and at the same time, see if he could bring the entire school under the Tian clan. Housekeeper Tian was about to leave, thinking about how to snatch back his family's lost benefits from the Netherfire army. Just as he reached the door, he suddenly bumped into a Tian clan guard who was rushing in. Steward Tian staggered backward from the impact. Just when he was about to lose his temper, the guard ignored him and rushed to Tian Haiba. Master, clan leader, Tian clan army. Tian clan army is completely annihilated. Hearing this, Tian Haiba was stunned. Housekeeper Tian even laughed out loud. Are you joking? The Tian clan army had more than 2,000 fasting cultivators and hundreds of golden core cultivators. You're saying that they're completely annihilated? The guard seemed to remember something, and his face was full of fear, his teeth chattering. Yes, the entire army completely annihilated. Luo Tian is dead. Hundreds of golden core cultivators all changed sides. It's the Netherfire army. The Netherfire army is Jun Mayan's subordinate. It was them who defeated the 2,000 cultivators of the Tian clan. Dead, injured, captured. None escaped. He was only patrolling outside and did not participate in the battle at all. When he heard the commotion and rushed over to check, he realized that the Tian clan army was completely defeated. Tian Haiba only felt a loud bang in his head, and his face flushed red. Are you kidding? He did not believe a word of what his subordinate said. If you dare to spread lies again, do you believe that I will crush you now? The guard desperately shook his head. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. Tian Haiba raised his hand and was about to slap the guard to death, but at this moment, a white light suddenly shot into the room. It turned into an exquisite paper crane above him. Tian Haiba took the paper crane and looked at it. Immediately, he was so angry that he saw stars. The blood in his body surged crazily, and his eyes bulged out, filled with a crazy killing intent. Zhu Mayan, Netherfire army. How dare you destroy my Tian army? I will tear you to shreds. Housekeeper Tian scrambled over and picked up the paper crane that Tian Haiba had thrown on the ground. He flipped it open and was dumbfounded. The whole army was annihilated. They were really annihilated. How could this be? That Netherflame army is just a motley crew of level 1 or level 2 abstinents. How can they contend against my Tian army? And that Jun Mayan, she's really going too far. She actually dared to not give our Tian family any face. She even killed Luo Tian. As soon as Luo Ingman heard the news, she screamed and threw herself in front of Tian Haiba. Is Tian dead? Who killed him? Patriarch, you must avenge Tian. Chapter 1766. Tian clan annihilated 3. Before she could finish, Tian Haiba's palm was already on top of her head. Spiritual power suddenly exploded. Blood gushed out of Luo Ingman's head. Her eyes were wide open, full of disbelief. Tian Haiba kicked her body away, his face completely twisted. Junmayan, Junmayan, I'm going to tear her into pieces now. Housekeeper Tian hurriedly said, Master, please think twice. Nalan clan and Muron clan sent you a letter personally, telling you not to touch Junmayan and the Starry School. Master, a little impatience will spoil great plans. Our Tian clan is greatly weakened now. There's no way we can fight against the 5 clans at the same time. Tian Haiba was about to go mad with anger. Do you want me to swallow my anger? That bitch destroyed the Tian clan army that I worked so hard to build for 10 years. Housekeeper Tian grabbed Tian Haiba and persuaded him with tears in his eyes. Master, without the Tian clan army, we still have the support of the Purple Cloud realm and you. As long as Patriarch is still here, there is no need to fear that our Tian family will not be able to regain its former glory. As for Junmayan and the Netherfire army, they're just a bunch of clowns. Master, as long as you do something, you can kill them. Tian Haiba breathed heavily, his chest rising and falling. After a while, the blood in his eyes faded. Yes, he couldn't act rashly. Otherwise, if he offended the 5 clans, the Tian clan would definitely be suppressed in the Azure Blue realm. It wasn't worth it for that little bitch Junmayan. Good. I'll let those bitches live for a while longer. Just as Tian Haiba thought of this, his feet suddenly shook. Then there was a loud bang. Housekeeper Tian, who had just stood up, lost his balance and fell directly to the ground, falling flat on his face. When Tian Haiba finally stabilized his body, the ground shook again. The roof made a cracking sound, and broken tiles and stones fell from time to time. Housekeeper Tian's cultivation was low, and he couldn't dodge in time. His head was smashed and bleeding, and he wailed, Outrageous! Who is it? How dare you come to my Tian clan? Tian Haiba leaped up and quickly broke through the roof, flying high into the sky. With this glance, his bloodshot eyes almost popped out of their sockets due to extreme shock and anger. He saw that in the huge Tian family, those luxurious buildings that he had spent a lot of effort to build were almost completely destroyed in the blink of an eye. There were burning flames and billowing smoke everywhere. There were also the figures of the Tian family's manservants, maids, and the rest of the Tian family army running in a sorry state. Tian Haiba was so angry that his whole body was trembling. Who did this? Get out here! The Tian family's main house was located in the most central district of Heaven Luo City. It was already late at night, and most of the places in Heaven Luo City were silent. But these rumbling sounds woke up everyone in the city. Most of the cultivators living in Tian Luo City rushed over to see what was going on. Soon after, these practitioners were shocked to discover that the house that had collapsed and burned was actually the biggest overlord of Heaven Luo City, the Tian family. At the gate of the Tian family, there were already thousands of people gathered. The Shouja that came to watch doubted if they were dreaming. That was the Tian family that no one dared to offend in the entire Azure Blue realm. Chapter 1767. Tian family completely annihilated for. Who was it? Which force had eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall to actually dare to make a move against the Tian family? The crowd gathered around them. Even if they were afraid, even if they were worried that they would be implicated because of the Tian family's anger, they were too curious. Moreover, there was a feeling in their hearts. If they missed this scene and missed tonight, they would definitely regret it for the rest of their lives. After Tian Haiba's rage, he quickly discovered the densely packed crowd standing around the Tian family. These people were all wearing the same uniform, with a black background and red stripes, like a raging flame burning in the depths of the pitch-black sea. That was the symbol of the nether flame. Tian Haiba's eyes were bloodshot, his eyes filled with killing intent. Without thinking, he condensed a thunderbolt in his hand and ruthlessly smashed it towards the nether flame army. However, that thunderball had yet to hit the heads of the nether flame army. The sound of a zither suddenly rang out in the air. A sound wall formed above the heads of the nether flame army, and actually directly reflected Tian Haiba's thunderball. The thunderball landed in the room that Tian Haiba had just come out of. Boom! After a loud sound, the only intact house of the Tian family turned into ruins. Tian Haiba's eyes stared at the direction of the door, his eyes dripping with blood as he gritted his teeth and said, "June, Mu, Yin, it's you." The Netherflame army quickly opened up a path. The 7 people of the Xiao Yao sect slowly walked forward. Mu Yan's usual clothes were usually blue and white, with cyan as the main color. But today, she and Xiao Bao, who was holding her hand, had changed into the uniform of the Netherflame army. The black and red stripes of the Netherflame army uniform not only did not reduce her beauty, but instead added a bit of charm, like a flower blooming in the night. At first glance, one would be shocked and infatuated with her. But when one wanted to get closer and see that pair of deep peach blossom eyes, one would feel a bone-chilling coldness, and an inexplicable fear welled up in one's heart. And Xiao Bao, who was holding Mu Yan's hand, was usually cold and handsome, but it still made people realize that this was a cute 5-year-old baby. However, at this time, wearing the Netherflame army uniform, at first glance, one would only feel that this was not a baby, but a long sword that was restrained, yet could be unsheathed at any time. As for the other 6 people from the Xiao Yao school, they were wearing ordinary clothes. Their expressions were also simple and naive, gentle and careless. It was as if they were just a group of the most ordinary young men and women, leisurely following the crowd to watch. When the practitioners who had rushed over to spectate saw the Netherflame army, they did not understand who they were and why they had the guts to attack the Tian family. However, when they saw Mu Yin and the members of the Xiao Yao sect, they all gasped. "I recognize them. Aren't they students of the Starry School?" Yes, the carefree team that shone brilliantly in the Tri-Academy tournament. Damn, what are they doing here? Don't tell me they want to go against the Tian family? Haha, stop joking. They were just a group of students. Even if they had a good performance in the Tri-Academy tournament, it was only among their peers. Don't you see that none of them have even reached the Golden Core stage? That's right. If Tian Highball wants to kill them, wouldn't it be easier than killing a few ants? However, there were a few people who disagreed. Look, don't they have a lot of people helping them? Chapter 1768. Tian family, completely annihilated 5. Tisich, don't you see clearly? That group of people is quite large, but most of them are only at the first or second stage of Anidia. The rest are even funnier. There are actually quite a few at the body forging stage. There are more than 2,000 Anidia cultivators under the command of the Tian family. What can a group of low-level wastes like you do? The onlookers are clamoring. But Mu Yin and Tian Haiba don't pay attention. At this time, Tian Haiba's gaze suddenly turns to the army of thousands, his eyes almost spurting flames. These are the Netherflame armies? Mu Yin smiles and says, "Yes, these are the Netherflame army that completely annihilated your more than 2,000 Tian family troops." As soon as these words come out, the originally noisy crowd seems to have their throats strangled. It's so quiet that you can hear a pin drop. After a moment, the crowd bursts out in a loud shout. Heavens, what did I just hear? More than 2,000 Tian family troops were annihilated. No, that's impossible. That's 2,000 Anidia cultivators. Even the lowest cultivation is at the 4th stage of Anidia. Tian Haiba relied on the Tian family troops to walk sideways in Azure Blue World, and no one dares to provoke him. How could the Tian family troops be annihilated? The key is that they were annihilated by this group of people in front of us? No, this is too unimaginable. I don't believe it. But look at Tian Haiba's expression. He's really flustered and exasperated. Heavens, could it be that the Tian family troops were really annihilated? Tian Haiba's complexion at this time really can't be described as ugly. He thinks of the Tian family troops that he had cultivated for so many years, and yet they were so easily crippled. He can't wait to tear apart this group of instigators in front of him. Good, good, good. He says good 3 times in a row, each more hysterical than the last. each crazier than the last. As he speaks, the spiritual energy around his body is already surging wildly. At the same time, a powerful pressure was suddenly released. Whether it's the Nether Flame Army or the onlookers, many people are immediately on the verge of collapse, their faces pale. The coercion of a high-level cultivator against a low-level cultivator directly affects the soul. Except for those who are special, there's no way to resist it. Turning the Tian Mo Qin in Mu Yan's hand, she loosens her grip on Xiao Bao's hand, and the melodious sound of the Qin rises. Stabilizing soul activated, since the pressure worked on a person's divine soul. Then she will use her Shun musician skills to stabilize everyone's souls. Although the area it covered was too large, its effect was limited. However, the problem was that Tian Haiba's coercion was nothing special. It was an attack that could not be resisted with one's willpower. The sound of the zither reverberated in everyone's ears. Those who had felt like vomiting and were about to faint suddenly felt refreshed. Those in the Nether Flame Army, who had low cultivation, felt that their bodies were about to explode and they were about to lose their minds. But at this moment, it was as if a gurgling stream was caressing their souls, causing them to wake up all at once. Originally, most of the cultivators in the surroundings were just there to watch the show. But at this time, he is filled with gratitude towards Mayan. He only hoped that in the battle later, this beautiful girl would not be hurt too badly by Tian Haiba. As for the rest, these people had been harmed by Tian Haiba before. Now that they saw someone come to deal with the Tian family, even though they knew it was impossible to succeed, they were still filled with hope. As for the members of the Nether Flame Army, they were originally filled with admiration for Mu Yan. They only felt that Mu Yan's actions were a matter of course. Chapter 1769. Tian Family, completely annihilated 6. There's nothing in this world that Miss can't do. They've always firmly believed in this point, without the slightest doubt. The Nether Flame Army, with the Everlasting Battalion and Tianji units insignia embroidered on their chests, hurriedly runs over and joins Mayan. The squad leader of the Everlasting Battalion has a smile on his face. He bows and says, "Miss, fortunately we didn't disappoint you. All the thunderbolts were successfully detonated." Behind him, the Tianji unit's people are also not to be outdone. They grin and say, "Our Tianji unit hasn't been idle either. We found the Tian family's warehouse. Sure enough, there are a lot of heavenly treasures inside. We've already followed Mrs. instructions and looted everything clean. We've also searched all of Tian Haiba's trusted aides and stewards. Sure enough, not everyone has a storage ring. There were a lot of Chinquan bags piled up in the house, and we've taken them all in passing. Our harvest is really quite a lot." Housekeeper Tian, who has just escaped from the ruins, is already on his last breath. When he hears this, his eyes roll back and he faints again. Tian Haiba didn't expect that his pressure attack would be so easily dissolved by Mayan's zither sound. He's already very angry, but now that he sees that there are many people in the crowd supporting Mayan, and he hears the words of the Everlasting Battalion and Tianji unit, he's simply going mad. The hatred in his heart is churning like lava. He's no longer flustered and exasperated, but curls up the corners of his lips, revealing a sinister smile. "Jun Mayan, I originally gave you many chances, but you insist on refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit. You destroyed my Tian family's army, making my years of painstaking efforts go to waste. I crazily want to dismember you into 1,000 pieces, but due to the warnings of those old things from the Nalan family and the Murong family, I don't intend to act rashly for the time being. I didn't expect you to be this stupid. I didn't go looking for you, but you came knocking on my door. The things you plunder from my Tian family, I'll immediately make you spit it all out with interest." Saying that, Tian Haiba suddenly takes out a bone whistle, puts it to his mouth, and blows it. Not long after the whistle falls, one of the collapsed ruins is suddenly blasted open. Then hundreds of cultivators jumped out and stood behind Tian Haiba. Tian Haiba looked at the cultivators around him and revealed a satisfied smile. "Since 5 years ago, I have trained this group of confidants who will never betray me. I originally thought that I would not use them before going to the Purple Cloud Realm. June Mayan, it's your honor that I let your Nether Flame army die in their hands. Everyone turned to look at the group of cultivators, and their expressions changed. These hundreds of cultivators were all at least level 6 abstinence realm. Moreover, 10 of them were at the peak of the Golden Core realm. The strangest thing was that every single one of them had lifeless eyes and stiff expressions. But when Tion Haiba gave the order to kill, they suddenly became murderous and bloodthirsty. These trusted subordinates of Tion Haiba were not cultivators, but slaughter puppets whose souls had been extracted and turned into Tion Haiba's marionettes. A group of puppets that didn't know pain, didn't fear death, and only knew how to kill and enter the palace. It's completely conceivable how frightening they would be. Especially that group of puppets at the peak of the Golden Core realm. It's even more unimaginable. Chapter 1770. 7 Unfettered Demons. 1. June Mayan and the members of the Xiao Yao squad are merely children who haven't reached adulthood. The Nether Flame army did not even have a cultivation above the 5th level of Anidia. Even if there were thousands of them, how could they contend against them? Not to mention, there was still Tion Haiba, a nascent soul stage expert. The surrounding cultivators quickly averted their eyes, unwilling to see the tragic scene of blood splattering everywhere. Looking at the slaughter puppet rushing over, Mu Yin faintly smiles and sits down cross-legged. His slender, snow-white fingers gently plucked the strings, and melodious music reverberated between heaven and earth. Everyone was on the verge of collapsing. What kind of situation was this? You still have the mood to play the zither? Even if you were the strongest support in Azure Blue Realm? But he couldn't just play the zither leisurely on such a dangerous battlefield. After Tion Haiba gave the order, he looked at Mu Yin, who was playing the zither, the Nether Flame army, who was quickly changing their formation, and Xiao Bao, who was standing in front of the Nether Flame army, and revealed a mocking smile. Jun Mu Yin, I don't know what kind of scheme you used to defeat my 2,000 Tian army. I heard that you even instigated those Golden Core commanders to rebel. Unfortunately, those methods of yours are absolutely useless against my puppet soldiers. Or do you think that this is the Tri-Academy tournament, and that you can make these trash win with just the help of your music? Tion Haiba's laughter was particularly ear-piercing, but the people around him couldn't help but agree. They sighed and felt heartache. However, this kind of heartache did not last for more than a quarter of an hour before it all turned into stupefaction. That was because that group of slaughter puppets didn't gain any advantage when facing the low-level Netherflame army. This was especially true for the 5-year-old boy, who looked like he was carved out of jade. At first, some people were worried about his safety, but in the end, they saw him stepping on a flying sword, going in and out several times. Wherever he went, those slaughter puppets were actually unable to put up a fight. They were directly struck in their vital points and completely lost the ability to fight. As for the Netherflame army, they dealt with the slaughter puppets with ease. They followed the rhythm of the zither and formed groups of 10 to deal with the slaughter puppets. In the blink of an eye, a slaughter puppet had its head chopped off. The Golden Core puppets battle was a bit more difficult. After all, the peak of the Jindan stage and the Anidia stage were absolutely incomparable. However, even though it was a little more arduous, it only lasted a little more than a quarter of an hour. 6 young boys and girls in the Anidia stage against 10 peak Jindan stage cultivators. The result was a complete victory for the 6 carefree young masters. The onlookers were dumbfounded. Tion Haiba was even more dumbfounded. When he came back to his senses, what surged in his heart was not only a monstrous rage, but also a hint of panic. His Tion family army, his Jindan commander, his Tion family, and his slaughter puppets were all destroyed? How is this possible? How could this be? A loud explosion sounded in Tion Haiba's mind, and his rationality almost completely disappeared, leaving only a crazy killing intent. He suddenly soars into the sky and ruthlessly slaps his palm towards Mayan. Bitch, it's you. It's all your fault. Today, I will tear you to shreds. The crowd screamed in fear. He was afraid that he would see the beautiful girl's blood splattered on the spot in the next moment. They were hoping that someone from the Carefree Squad or the Netherflame Army would be able to save Mayan. However, when they looked towards the Carefree Squad and the Netherflame Army, they were dumbfounded. What the hell? This group of people had actually already calmly assumed the posture of watching a play. Chapter 1771. Unfettered Seven Demons. 2. Lung Yuma and Luo, you had already started searching for Tian Haiba's confidants, concubines, and lackeys in the ruins of the Tian clan. Were these people crazy? Junmai's life was at stake, and they were actually doing nothing. Didn't their conscience hurt? However, they soon found out who was the one who was too foolish and naive. Just as Tian Haiba's attack reached Mayan's head, the Tian Mo Chin emitted a 7-colored dazzling light that shot into the sky. Then, the 7 rays of light converged into a beam, turning into a crystal-clear sword. A black-haired girl in black stood on the transparent sword, her hands behind her back, her hair fluttering. The moonlight shone on her crystal-clear face, allowing people to see her lazy and charming eyes, as well as the careless smile at the corner of her mouth. Tian Haiba, I am a very vengeful person. The girl's voice was clear and cold, like a pearl compass, pleasing to the ears. You shamelessly asked the Alcade branch to submit to the Tian clan. When we failed to recruit you, you wanted to drag the entire Starry School down with you, even killing innocent people. You had a business conflict with the Nether Fire Army in the Qingyan world. Instead of a fair competition, you wanted to kill people for money. I don't care what kind of scum you were in the past, but now that you have offended me, in that case, today we will settle all the scores one by one. Tian Haiba raised his head and looked at the girl in the air, wanting to scold her for overestimating herself. However, for some unknown reason, an ominous premonition arose in the bottom of his heart when he met those piercingly cold and serene eyes. It was as if there was a voice in the unseen world telling him. He had been arrogant all his life, and this time he had finally kicked an iron plate. He was finished. An hour later, the 2 fighting figures in the air suddenly separated and landed on the ground. However, the girl in black landed on her feet. Other than her pale face and messy hair, there were no injuries on her body. On the other side, Tian Haiba could only be described as miserable. His whole body was densely covered with crisscross sword wounds, and his clothes were completely dyed red with blood. At this moment, he was lying on the ground like a dying dog. He wanted to get up, but after moving his body a few times, he could only fall down powerlessly. His eyes were wide open and bloodshot as he muttered, "Impossible! Impossible! How could I lose? I'm at the nascent soul stage. How could I lose?" That was right. The surrounding cultivators were also screaming in their hearts. Why did Tian Haiba lose? He was at the nascent soul stage. On the other hand, Junmayan was only in the Anidia realm, and she was at most 20 years old, a student of the Starry School. How did she defeat Tian Haiba? Was everything that was happening in front of them really not a dream? There were also people who couldn't help but shiver when they saw the dense sword wounds on Tian Haiba's body. Wasn't that a little too much? Junmayan is just a little girl, a cultivator at the stage of fasting, yet she beat a nascent soul cultivator into this state. Isn't that a bit too cruel? Even the people of the Xiaoyao school couldn't help but sigh when they saw Tian Haiba's shocking wounds. Their junior sister's sword aura was obviously trained in the blood slaughter sword formation that Uncle Master left behind. Think about it. She had to face hundreds of sword auras every day. Chapter 1772. Unfettered Seven Devils. 3. How fast and terrifying was Yi Lingchen's swordsmanship to be able to stay in there for hours? It was terrifying. Sob, I heard from the students who came back from the 3-class competition that Mayan was nicknamed the She-Devil, but I thought it was an exaggeration. She's just a pretty girl. No matter how strong and tough she is, she can't be called the She-Devil. And now I know how naive I was. Heavens, I heard that when Junmayan came out of the Min Lu world, she killed the head of the Ning family, the overlord there. Later on, when she came to the Azure Cloud world, she messed with the Leaf Fire sect. So, is it our Azure Blue world's turn now? The Xiaoyao sect isn't to be trifled with. 6 cultivators at the peak of the Golden Core realm killed 10 cultivators at the Golden Core realm as if they were playing a game. I heard that someone named them the Xiaorao 7. Sob, I think they should be called the Xiaorao 7 Devils. I'm trembling. Boss June and the Xiaoyao 7 Devils. Please have mercy. Please have mercy too. Mayan was adjusting her spiritual essence and praising Xiaobao's excellent performance when she heard the whispers of She-Devil Mayan in the crowd again. She almost fell to the ground. So, she really had that nickname back? And this time, the Xiaoyao 7 Devils? There were also people in the crowd who cried tears of joy, wantonly crying out loud, because they knew that the Tian family was doomed this time. Truly doomed. They had been persecuted by the Tian family before, and now they had their revenge. From now on, they wouldn't have to fear the Tian family anymore. Someone went up to Mayan with tears in his eyes, wanting to thank her. However, as soon as they got closer, they saw the people of the Xiaoyao school dragging the Tian clan's lackeys, who were tied up. Looking at Tian Haiba, who was on the verge of death, everyone except Yun Ruhan, who had a headache, was very excited. Junior sister, third senior brother, did you have enough material? Can we start painting now? Painting? What painting? The people who came over even forgot to thank them. They just foolishly watched as the 7 people from the Xiaoyao sect began to happily strip the Tian family's lackeys, along with Tian Haiba's clothes. During this time, some of the Tian family's lackeys also woke up and wanted to struggle. In the end, Qin Jiu, who had a silly smile on his face, knocked him out with a single punch. Then, he continued to strip him of his clothes. After everyone was stripped naked, the people of the Xiaoyao sect happily posed for them. During this time, Lu Biu excitedly joined in. Based on past experience, he also provided them with a few more creative moves. The people of the Xiaoyao sect immediately got into a fight with this martial nephew who had no expertise in martial arts. Especially when Lu Biu followed Chu Moli's example and made a painting, the people of the Xiaoyao sect looked at him with admiration. Not bad, not bad. As expected of the disciple that little junior sister has taken a fancy to. Even if his combat strength was lacking, his drawing skills were still pretty good. Moreover, the few movements that he came up with were especially lively. Look at how enchanting and charming Tian Haiba, who was covered in sword scars. The onlookers who were standing in the wind were speechless, as well as the Netherflame army, who were trembling as they recalled their unbearable past. They felt that this scene was so strange that it sent chills down their spines and tightened their anus. Those who wanted to scold him for being immoral immediately covered their mouths in alarm. Chapter 1773. The Unfettered 7 Devils 4. Asking for tickets. Right now, they really want to slip away. They feel that if they keep looking, their 3 views will shatter into pieces, and they won't be able to put them back together again. The female, Devil June Mayan, and the Unfettered 7 Sons, Ape, the Unfettered 7 Devils, they'd better not provoke them. No. This life, the next life, the life after that. They absolutely must not provoke them. Lu Biu has just finished sitting on a painting when he looks up and finds that most of the onlookers, who were originally jostling each other, have actually run away. And the Netherflame army is even more retreating with an expression that says, "I'm invisible, you can't see me. He can't help but say angrily, "This group of people has no vision. They actually don't know how to appreciate such a valuable art." Master, am I right? I think that everyone in the Netherflame army hasn't been influenced enough. Mayan smiles and nods. She looks at the painting that Chu Moli has drawn and looks at the Netherflame army with great interest. What you say makes sense. I haven't seen Third Brother paint for the Netherflame army. When the Netherflame army hears this, they simply go crazy. Miss, I beg for mercy, We'd rather practice 100 times every day than to paint. Right. Miss, if you want to paint, we'll go find it for you. Especially Guan Hu and the others, who have been deeply persecuted. They grit their teeth and curse. Liu Beiyu, do you believe that when we go back, I'll let you drill me to death? Liu Beiyu shrinks his neck and doesn't speak anymore. Tian Haiba faintly wakes up. He only feels that his body, including his balls, are cold. He's startled at first, then he suddenly finds himself in that shameful pose. His face immediately distorts, and his whole face swells into the color of a pig's liver. However, he wants to move but finds that his whole body is powerless. He can't even concave that shameful pose. The spiritual power in his body seems to be completely blocked by something, completely unable to operate. Tian Haiba immediately roars hoarsely. Jun Mayan, you dare to humiliate me like this? You dare? I'll make you wish you were dead. I'm going to tear you to shreds. Lung Umo dug her ears. Then why don't you try and tear us into pieces? Tian Haiba's eyes were bloodshot, and a crazy determination flashed across his eyes. Suddenly, there was a loud bang in his chest. He clearly had no spiritual power, but the flesh on his chest actually exploded. Then, a dozen or so dark red light spots flew out from his chest and scattered in all directions at lightning speed. Mu Yan's heart tightens, and she subconsciously wants to stop these dots of light. However, the speed of the light dots was too fast, and there were more than 10 of them. She and Ling Yuxing each intercepted one, but were completely powerless against the others. Mu Yan opens her hand to take a look, only to discover that there is a small red paper crane in her palm. It was obviously used for communication, but it was more than 100 times faster than ordinary paper cranes. A bloody hole bursts open in Tian Haiba's chest. He's on the verge of death, but his face shows a crazed smile. Ha ha ha, Jun Mayan, you're dead for sure. You're dead. There will be people from the Tian family's main family very soon. Before he could finish his words, 2 rays of light suddenly whistled over from the horizon. Red lights burst in the sky like fireworks. Soon after, 2 tall silhouettes, one black and one white, slowly land in front of Mu Yan. It's still a small explosion, and Azzy himself doesn't know how he managed to persevere. Sob, sob, sob. Continue to support my dear friends. Monthly votes, asking for monthly votes. Chapter 1774. Mayan's pupils slightly contract, her face revealing a genuine and joyful smile. Di Mingju, young martial uncle, why have you come? Di Mingju and Luo Yunxiao simultaneously hold out their hands, 5 fingers spread open. From their palms, they took out 7 or 8 completely dull red paper cranes. Divine power surged. Almost at the same time, the red paper cranes turned into dust in their palms. Tian Haiba stared blankly at this scene. His face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with shock. You? Who exactly are you? How could there be someone in this world who could so easily intercept so many fire beacon cranes? Di Mingju lifts his hand and gently points. There's a loud bang, and Tian Haiba's body suddenly splits into pieces, turning into bloody foam that floats in the air. The members of the Nether Flame Army, as well as the few remaining cultivators who were spectating, were all scared out of their wits. God, it was too terrifying. The dignified clan leader of the Tian clan, the 4th great clan of the Azure Blue Realm, a nascent soul cultivator, was actually completely annihilated in a single night. Thus, the remaining spectating cultivators also fled without a trace. As for the Nether Flame Army, they all knelt down. Greetings, Emperor. There isn't a single person who doesn't know Di Mingju from the Yinwu continent who has followed mine up here. They had also tacitly accepted the fact that this man was their brother-in-law. Of course, in the hearts of the people of Hellflame Valley, even if Di Mingju was so valiant, even if they called Di Mingju Di Jun, the strongest and most awesome person was still their young miss. As for Di Mingju, in their minds, rather than saying that he is a mysterious and powerful monarch, it would be better to say that he is the son-in-law of Hellfire Valley. Di Mingju glances at them, his face expressionless, even carrying a bit of disdain. You guys also came? So in the future, there would be more and more people sharing looks with him, until Ru Yin, Yin Haotian, Feng Haidang, and Bai Yiqian, the four great leaders, walked forward and greeted him again. With Ru Yin taking the lead, she called out, son-in-law. Although Shin Jinglin was somewhat unwilling, he still called him brother-in-law. Only then does Di Mingju's complexion look a bit better. However, when he saw that Luo Yunxiao had arrived almost at the same time as him, he still felt a little worried. When he turned his head and saw the naked dog of the Tian family in various poses, his face turned even darker. Under the dim light of the night, Mayan doesn't notice his expression for a moment. She steps forward and smiles. Fortunately, Yu and Junior Marshal Uncle came back in time. Otherwise, with so many fire beacon paper cranes, she and fifth senior brother would not be able to stop them. It was not that he was afraid of the Tian family, and the news of the Tian family's destruction would eventually spread to the Purple Cloud realm. Since they dared to make a move against the Tian family, they were not afraid of others finding out. But it was always good to buy some time. Unexpectedly, as soon as she finished speaking, she was met with God's dark gaze. There's also the man's enraged, handsome face that almost deforms. Jun Mayan, do you still remember what you promised Ben Jun? Mayan stares blankly. Soon after, she glances at the Tian family members who have been stripped naked. She immediately cries out in her heart, oh no! Previously, because Mayan stripped off Xinglang's clothes, she even drew a half-covered, half-clothed portrait of Xinglang. In the end, Xinglang, this brainless fan, actually turned around and told this matter to Di Mingju. This caused Di Mingju to become extremely jealous, and he nearly tormented Mayan to hover between life and death. In the end, Mayan could only agree to no longer strip men's clothes and no longer draw pictures of men's naked bodies. Only then did Jun Shangdarin let the matter go. Please remember this book's domain name. Com, Wonderful Book House's mobile version. Com. Chapter 1775. In the end, she was too happy at the Tian family that she actually forgot about this matter. She stepped back silently and laughed dryly. You said I can't strip men, but you didn't say I can't watch others do it. You said I can't draw men's portraits, but you didn't say I can't watch others draw portraits. Ahem, I didn't break the promise, did I? Di Mingju's mouth slowly hooks up, revealing a gentle smile. Very well, Ben Jun understands. Mu Yin was shocked. Wait, what do you understand? Di Mingju turns his head to look at the other people of the Xiaorao sect. He says unhurriedly, it seems that Ben Jun gave you too little homework. That's why you had time to draw these things. The members of the Xiaoyao sect, who had been fearless just a moment ago, suddenly shivered when they saw instructor Mo's death stare. Their souls were almost scared out of their wits. Mr. Mo, we were wrong. We won't dare to do it again. We beg for mercy. Little Marshal Uncle, save us. Sob, 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 that's right. Little Marshal Uncle, our daily cultivation tasks are already enough to make ordinary people die 100 times. If it continues to increase, we'll all be dead. Chu Moli couldn't help but shake his head. Did these idiots know who they were begging? If Uncle was willing to let them go, he would write his name backwards. As expected, Luo Yunxiao's gaze moved from the naked dogs of the Tian clan to Mu Yin, and then to the Xiaoyao sect people who were begging for mercy. On his incomparably handsome face, a gentle smile that could turn all living things upside down appeared. Indeed, I'm quite free. From tomorrow onwards, everyone will have 20 more sword chi in the blood-slaughtering sword matrix. Chiwen jumped out and laughed. Who asked you to be so arrogant? Who asked you to do such an interesting thing without me? Ha-ha, you are dead this time. Ha-ha. The only two teachers of the All-K branch had returned. If the whole Starry School heard the news, they would definitely go crazy. However, at this moment, everyone from the Xiaorao sect, including Mu Yin, only wanted to die. The next morning, Nailin Qing just got up and asked the housekeeper, is there a reply from Tian Haiba? Housekeeper Nailin smiled, not yet. I'm afraid that Tian Haiba is already so angry that he doesn't even want to reply to you. However, we've already spoken to him. No matter what, He will not dare to do anything to Miss June and the Starry School. Nailin Qing, if he can try. Just because the Tian family had developed a little faster in the past few years, did he really think that he could be lawless and look down on everyone? This June Mayan is my family's Yin savior. Her son is my Yin's oldest brother, and she can also make Yin's cultivation progress so quickly. I absolutely cannot let this scum Tian Haiba get hurt. Housekeeper Nailin said, Master, don't worry. I've already sent people to the Nailin clan to transfer people over. They'll definitely guard the Starry School during this period. If Tian Haiba really dares to act recklessly, we'll let him know who exactly is the #1 family of the Azure Blue world. Nailin Qing nods in satisfaction. He's just about to go next door and bring his Yin along to go to the Alcade branch to look for Jun Mayan and Xiao Bao. However, just as he stepped out of the door, he saw Murong Bai hurriedly running over. Upon seeing Nailin Qing, he immediately shouted, Brother Nailin, do you know what happened last night? Please remember the domain name of this book. Wonderful Bookhouse mobile version website. Chapter 1776. Nailin Qing is confused. What do you mean what happened? Tian family? Tian family. Nailin Qing's expression turns cold. Could it be that Tian Haiba still dares to make a move against Yao Guang branch's peoples? Hearing his question, Murong Bai's expression is somewhat indescribable. At this time, Duan Xiangyang, Lu Zhenjiang, and Feng Yi, who live nearby, also heard the commotion and rushed out. Duan Xiangyang makes a big fuss. Could it be that Tian Haiba really ate a bear's heart and a leopard's gall? He didn't even pay attention to the 5 great families' warning? No. Murong Bai stifled for a long time before he spits out the words with difficulty. It's exactly the opposite of what you think. Last night, the Tian family was wiped out. Nailin Qing and the others stare blankly. What? The Tian family was wiped out. Is it what they think it means? Murong Bai swallows and continues. Moreover, it was the Xiao Yao 7 and the Netherfire army that wiped out the Tian family. What? Brother Murong, you're not joking, are you? That's the Tian family that is as famous as us. The Tian family that has a nascent soul expert. Even if they lost 2,000 Tian troops, how could the Xiao Yao squad's children wipe them out? Murong Bai wipes his face and smiles bitterly. I didn't believe it at first, but you also know that my Murong family has a winery near the Tian family's Tian Luo city. The manager of my winery sent me a messenger crane overnight. He saw the scene last night with his own eyes and heard it with his own ears. It's absolutely true. It was the Netherfire army that wiped out the Tian family's remaining subordinates, and the Xiao Yao squad that killed Tian Haiba's trump card, the 10-peak Jinan puppets. And Jun Mai and she defeated the nascent soul stage Tian Haiba by herself with her fasting stage cultivation. Everyone present sucked in a cold breath at the same time. They want to question, want to refute, want to say that this is impossible. But Murong Bai's expression tells them that he would never lie about this kind of thing. After a long time, Nailin Qing murmurs. It turns out that they don't need the 5 great families' protection. Jun Mayan, the Xiao Yao 7, have they become so powerful? Lu Zhenjiang suddenly revealed a mysterious smile. I'm looking forward to the Deer Cry banquet, held by Dragon Sword Academy this time. I believe that the carefree 7 sons that have brought such a great shock to us in the Azure Blue domain will definitely be able to set off a storm in the Deer Cry banquet. Azure Cloud World, Misty Cloud Sect. The Tian family has been annihilated. The Tian family have been exterminated. Master, we don't have to worry about being persecuted by the Tian family anymore. A young cultivator threw himself in front of the Misty Cloud sect leader, tears streaming down his face. The Misty Cloud sect leader, Daoist Zhang, found it hard to believe at first, but when he confirmed that all of this was real, he also burst into tears. The Tian clan had coveted their Misty Cloud sect for a few months already. During this period of time, they had been constantly threatening and enticing. The Misty Cloud sect was nearly unable to hold on. Fortunately, with the help of the newly risen Nether Flame army, they were able to survive this period of time. Who is it? Which deity was it that was able to destroy the Tian family? The young cultivator said excitedly, Master, you don't know. The one who destroyed the Tian family was none other than the Nether Flame Army and their leader. Master, you wouldn't have thought that the leader of the Nether Flame Army was actually an influential figure from our Azure Cloud world. What? Our Azure Cloud world? Please remember the domain name of this book. Com, Wonderful Book House mobile version. Com. Chapter 1777. Yeah, the leader of the Nether Flame Army is Jun Mayan of the Azure Cloud World Xiaoyao sect. Now, after the 3 Academy tournament and the extermination of the Tian family, Jun Mayan's reputation as the strongest support and the strongest abstinent stage cultivator, as well as the heaven-defying strength of the Xiaoyao 7, have already spread throughout the entire Azure Blue world. Now, there is no one who doesn't know about it. Of course, the truth is that the names of the Demonis, Jun Mayan, and the Unfettered 7 Devils have spread all over the country. The young cultivator didn't say this. A little girl who had just come in with a bowl of soup originally had a calm expression, but when she heard the young Xiujia's words, she was so excited that the bowl of soup in her hand overturned. She hurriedly rushed over and asked, Six Shitty, is what you said true? Was the leader of the Nether Flame Army really Jun Mayan? It's my miss. As it turns out, this little girl is actually Wei Zi, whom Mu Yan met at the Heavenly Fragrance Brothel when she first entered the Xiujian continent. Afterwards, after the sect examination, Mu Yan entered the Xiaorao sect, while Wei Zi went to the Misty Clouds sect. The young cultivator is also aware of the relationship between this junior sister and Mayan, so he happily nodded. Wei Zi's tears immediately flowed down her face. That's great. Mrs. Fine and has become so powerful. That's great. Daoist Zhang stroked his beard, his eyes sparkling as he made a decision. Go and reply to the Zhu family. Tell them that there's no need to consider it. My Misty Cloud sect will not cooperate with the Nether Flame Army. However, we will join the Nether Flame Army. We are willing to become subordinates of the Nether Fire Army. Master, the young Xiujia was shocked. Wei Zi, on the other hand, cried tears of joy. Master, are you serious? Daoist Zhang patted Wei Zi's head. Since he's someone that you approve of, Master will also approve of. If our Misty Cloud sect follows the Nether Fire Army, we won't be at a disadvantage. There was one more sentence that Daoist Zhang did not say. Jun Mayan and the Xiaoyao 7 sons, with their fasting stage cultivation, led a group of cultivators whose average cultivation was no more than the 3rd level of fasting, and were actually able to exterminate the Tian family, the 4th largest family in the Azure Blue world. This kind of heaven-defying in strength was something that ordinary people could never achieve. Perhaps one day, they would set off a monstrous wave in the entire cultivation world. Currently, he was only helping the Misty Cloud sect choose a side in advance, making a bet in advance. On the bustling streets of the Azure Cloud world, Yi Huan and the others, who were also acquainted with Mu Yin in the sect selection, were boasting wildly. Do you know about the famous female devil Jun Mayan of Min LV, Qingyun, and Kanglan realms? That's our boss. That's an old friendship that's been established since the sect selection. That's right. That was when we realized how awesome Boss Jun was. She was invincible in the selection, and no one was a match for her. What greeted them was everyone's envious and jealous gazes. She's actually acquainted with Jun Mayan, Azure Blue World's #1 support and #1 fasting cultivator. How enviable! After Yi Huan finished showing off, he said with longing in his eyes, since the Nether Flame Army is the army boss's subordinate, then I've decided to join the Nether Flame Army. I wonder if the Nether Flame Army is still recruiting. I'm going to. We'll follow Boss Jun to the end of our lives. We'll follow Boss Jun to the death. Azure Cloud Worldly Fire Sect. Oh my God. Have you heard that the female devil Jun Mayan of the Starry School and the Xiaoyao 7 demons destroyed the Tian family, the 4th largest family in the Azure Blue world? Yes. In less than a day, the news has already spread like wildfire. Please remember the domain name of this book. Calm, Wonderful Book House, mobile version. Calm. Chapter 1778. How long has it been since our Min-Lu, Azure Cloud, and Azure Blue domains had such explosive news? A large family clan, a large family clan, to think that it was so easily destroyed. I remembered that our Leaf Fire Sect's Elder Qian Feng had a grudge with that demonist Jun Mayan. I heard that Elder Qian Feng wants his crippled nephew to marry Jun Emosia. The gossipy Leaf Fire Sect disciples looked at each other and shuddered. Will we suffer Jun Mayan's revenge one day because of Elder Qian Feng? And at this moment, Qian Feng, who had received the news that the Leaf Fire Sect had expelled him from the sect, nearly vomited blood and fainted. If he had known earlier, if he had known that this day would come, he would have killed his nephew with his own hands rather than provoke that malefic Jun Mayan. Min-Lu World's green city. The Azure Cloud world is too shameless. They actually said that Jun Mayan left from their domain. Hui, it was clearly from our Min-Lu world. That's right. Back then, when that demonist Jun Mayan destroyed the Ning family, I witnessed it with my own eyes. Yes, Jun Mayan is definitely someone from our Min-Lu world. Ha ha ha. Our Min-Lu world finally has a great god. Azure Cloud World Xiaoyao Sect. The whole Unitary Sect elders and disciples who were serving Shiqing also received the news from the nearest town. They felt a chill down their spines, especially when they heard that the Tian family's patriarch and his lackeys had been stripped naked for painting. They felt their anus tighten. But at the same time, they were glad. Fortunately, they did not offend this bunch of malefic stars. Fortunately, they had turned over a new leaf. If not, they would have ended up like the Tian family today. And the only Xiaoyao sect member, Shiqing, who was still in the sect, heard the news from the whole Unitary Sect. He was in a daze for a long time. He recalled the special origins and lives of these children and the secrets they hid. His expression was distant and complicated. But very quickly, the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. No matter what, these children are living happily. That's enough. It's great to have a baby like mine join the Xiaoyao sect. Maybe one day, she will solve the problems in the hearts of those children and the sins that they have been carrying. Shiqing gazed into the distance through the window. His eyes were filled with anticipation, longing, and tears. Alcade Branch. Little Marshal Uncle, look. This was junior sister's son, her biological son, our precious apprentice nephew. His official name is Jun Machin. His nickname is Xiao Bao. Lung Yuma and the rest pushed Xiao Bao in front of Luo Yunxiao, as if they were presenting a treasure. Xiao Bao raised his delicate and cold little face, his big watery eyes sizing up Luo Yunxiao curiously. Is this the martial granduncle that my mother and martial uncles always talk about? Fourth martial uncle and seventh martial uncle often said that their youngest martial uncle was the most handsome man in the world. Now that Xiao Bao had a closer look, she was indeed very good-looking. Oh, just a little bit worse than mother, father, and herself. Eldest martial uncle also said that youngest martial uncle's swordsmanship was the best in the world, and that mother's swordsmanship was taught by him. All right, then let's just say that his swordsmanship is not bad. Humph, but definitely not as good as father. Mine reached out and touched Xiao Bao's head. Call me martial granduncle. Xiao Bao's little face was taut, and he used a cold and cute voice to call, Martial Granduncle. Please remember the domain name of this book. Calm, Wonderful Book House mobile version. Calm. Chapter 1779. The people of the Xiaoyao sect have always respected each other's privacy and secrets. Why did Mu Yin have a child out of wedlock? Why did she have a 5-year-old child at such a young age? Apart from the initial shock and curiosity, the people of the Xiaoyao sect didn't ask any more questions. Just like Ling Yuxing, no one in the Xiaoyao sect would aggressively ask about the past between him and Ouyang Qing. They only needed to know that no matter what kind of background they had or what kind of past they had, there would always be a group of brothers behind them who were more like family than family to support and protect them. That was enough. Luo Yunxiao is the same. Hearing that Xiao Bao is Mu Yan's biological son, his eyes flash with a touch of shock, followed by a well-concealed heartache. Xiao Bao's name is Jun Machin, and he follows Mu Yan's surname. When Xiao Bao was 5 years old, Mu Yan was only 20 years old. No matter who Xiao Bao's father is, it must be an unbearable past for Mu Yan. Luo Yunxiao touches Xiao Bao's head with rare gentleness. Then she takes out a lot of greeting gifts. However, when the people of the Xiaorao sect see these greeting gifts, they all shiver. Sword array board, swordsmanship cultivation method, foundation of arrays, it's full, like a small mountain. The key is that the array board of the Blood Slaughter sword array has 70 sword chi. It's exactly the same as when they just added 20 sword chi. God, didn't little uncle notice that Xiao Bao is only 5 years old? Was little martial uncle going to tire their precious martial nephew to death the moment they met? Different from the people of the Xiaorao sect, Xiao Bao sees a lot of array boards, swordsmanship, and cultivation method. However, a rare smile appeared on her icy cold face. His blue eyes, which were full of doubt and vigilance, now show a sense of intimacy. Luo Yunxiao is the first person besides Di Mingju who doesn't treat him as a child. Moreover, when he gets closer, he finds that Luo Yunxiao has an inexplicably familiar aura. Xiao Bao feels that he likes this granduncle a little. Di Mingju returns to the Yaoguang branch after finishing his business. He sees his fiancée smiling at Luo Yunxiao. Her son was sweating profusely. He had just put away the Bixia sword and looked up at Luo Yunxiao with a trace of admiration. Jun Shangdaren's heart immediately goes cold. That sea of vinegar that he had just suppressed starts to boil like magma again. He slowly walked forward. Mine seems to sense something and turns around to look at him. However, before she could react, she was already in the man's arms. A low and deep voice, with a trace of hoarseness and impatience, echoes in her ear. Yin Yin, do you still remember what you promised me back then? Do you still remember what I said I was going to do before I left? Mine stares blankly. Di Mingju slowly raises his head. His deep and magnetic voice has a rare coldness that fades away, and with a trace of tenderness, he announces, 3 days later, Mayan and I will solemnly announce to the heaven and earth that we will form a marriage alliance. Welcome to the ceremony. The plaza of the Yaoguang branch was silent for a second. Then, there was a sudden burst of heated discussion. Junior sister, you and Instructor Mo are finally getting married. Instructor Mo, you're moving too fast. You've actually tricked our junior sister away like this. Please remember this book's domain name. Com, Wonderful Book House, mobile version. Com. Chapter 1780. Announcing to the heavens and earth the marriage alliance, too. The members of the Dark Flame Army have followed Mayan all the way from the Yanwu continent, and they have all witnessed the course of the relationship between the two. They can't help but smile and kneel down. Congratulations, miss. Congratulations, Emperor. Mayan glares at Di Mingju and secretly pinches a certain someone's waist. She grits her teeth and says in a low voice, why didn't you tell me before announcing it? Di Mingju bends down and softly says in her ear, could it be that Yin Yin is unwilling? Every day and every night of this monarch's life is like a year. The grand wedding naturally has to wait until you ascend to the polar domain. But with the marriage alliance, you will be this monarch's one and only wife, fully deserving of being the mistress of the polar domain. No one will be able to shake your position. Yin Yin, Ben Jun has been waiting for this day, to the point of going crazy. Mayan's heart feels like it's been struck by something. It's numb and itchy, but it also carries a trace of warmth. Di Mingju nervously looks at her, a trace of unease in his eyes. Yin Yin, are you willing to marry Ben Jun? The corner of Mu Yan's mouth gently hooks up, her eyes rippling with bright starlight. Haven't I already given you the answer? Di Mingju, I am willing to marry you. What about you? Are you willing to be my husband, to stand with me through thick and thin, to live and die with me? Di Mingju slowly lowers his head, pressing it against her forehead. Of course, my wife. The two of them acted intimately, as if no one else was present, causing the people of the carefree sect and the Nether Flame army to jeer. Even Xiao Bao, who usually has a taut little face, can't help but smile when Di Mingju picks him up. He was going to have a real family and a real father. Luo Yunxiao quietly watched this noisy and joyous scene. Her face was still as gentle as jade, but the little bit of hope and starlight that remained in her eyes slowly dissipated. However, he was simply too good at enduring and concealing his emotions. It was to the extent that apart from Chu Moli, no one else noticed the sorrow and deathly stillness in his eyes. Stellar Jade Balance Branch. Ouyang Mingzhu impatiently rolled the paper crane in her hand into a ball and threw it into the box. More than half a month had passed. The Wei family and her mother, Wei Kaiju, hadn't sent her any news for more than half a month. Ouyang Qing had not been in the academy during this period of time, and no one knew where she had gone. But even though Ouyang Qing was in the academy, she was becoming more and more indifferent to her. Instead, he was getting closer and closer to that slut, Ling Yuxing. If this continued, without the help of the Wei clan and her mother, Wei Kaiju, Ouyang Qing's heart would be completely biased towards Ling Yuxing. She had liked Ouyang Qing for so many years. Ever since she had the consciousness of a man and a woman, she had always dreamed of marrying Ouyang Qing and becoming his wife one day. How could she endure her future husband being snatched away by that slut, Ling Yuxing, who was neither male nor female? This time, when the Tian clan threatened the people of the Alcade branch, it was originally the best opportunity. Ouyang Mingzhu had originally wanted to banish Ling Yuxing and the annoying people from the Alcade branch from the Starry School, while Ouyang Qing was not around. By the time Ouyang Qing returned, Ling Yuxing and the rest had long fallen into Tian Haiba's hands. Tian Haiba had always been ruthless. Jun Mayan and the people from the Alcade branch had also offended him. If they went to the Tian clan, they would definitely die a terrible death. At that time, what was done could not be undone. Even if Ouyang Qing was sad, there was nothing she could do, and she would stay by his side, soothe the pain in his heart, and finally successfully enter his heart. Chapter 1781. Her filthy background was exposed. 1. Unexpectedly, reality poured a bucket of cold water on her. She had thought that the teachers and students who were implicated by the Alcade branch would definitely hate these troublemakers to the bone. She had stood up first to criticize Jun Mayan and the others. She would definitely stand on the moral high ground and gain the favor of more people. However, she did not expect the stubborn idiots of the Starry School to be poisoned by Jun Mayan. They were about to lose their lives, but they still swore to protect the people of the Alcade branch. The final outcome was completely out of her expectations. More than 2,000 Tian family soldiers were defeated by Jun Mayan's subordinates, who came out of nowhere. The entire Starry School cheered, while the people from the Alioth branch who suggested to expel the people of the Alcade branch became street rats. Everyone even beat them up. Originally, Ouyang Mingzhu had hoped that Tian Haiba would be furious and take revenge on Jun Mayan and the others. Unexpectedly, the news that the Tian family had been destroyed by the Xiao Yao 7 and the Nether Fire Army had spread throughout the Azure Blue Realm, Green Cloud Realm, and Min Lu Realm. Trash! Trash! All trash! A great clan. Why could they not even deal with 7 people? Ouyang Mingzhu was about to go crazy. Now, the reputation of the unfettered 7 in the academy was getting bigger and bigger. Even those who used to think that the men Ling Yuxing liked were treacherous and shameless now cowered and didn't dare to say another word. Because if they said a few bad words about Ling Yuxing, they would be beaten up by the Xiao Yao 7's admirers. Ouyang Mingzhu walked out of the dormitory angrily and came to the teaching building of the Alioth branch. Zhang Zhiner. She suddenly called a little girl in front of her in an unfriendly tone. The little girl had a round face and delicate features. Her expression was shy and inexperienced. Hearing Ouyang Mingzhu's call, fear appeared in her eyes and her body shrank. Zhang Zhiner, are you deaf? Didn't you hear me calling you? Ouyang Mingzhu saw that the little girl did not come over immediately and her face was full of anger. She took out a whip from her storage ring and flung it at Zhang Zhen. This was Ouyang Mingzhu's daily routine in the Alioth branch. Although the Ouyang clan was not ranked among the few great clans of the Azure Blue world, her status was extremely high. However, the location of the Ouyang family just happened to be at the border between the Azure Blue world and the Purple Cloud world. To be able to establish a force in such a place and develop it, it was enough to show that the Ouyang clan was not weak in terms of strength or background. Furthermore, Ouyang Mingzhu had Ouyang Qing, a brother who had dominated the #1 position in the Starry School for a long time. Naturally, no one in the Alioth branch dared to offend her. Many people who were bullied by her could only be angry, but did not dare to say anything. Zhang Zhen was hit by the barbed whip and immediately screamed. She squatted on the ground, hugged her head, and curled up into a ball crying. She was already used to being bullied by Ouyang Mingzhu. Every time she was beaten like this, she didn't dare to resist, and no one would come to help her. She could do nothing but cry and beg for mercy. But today, she curled up her body and waited for the torture to come. But after waiting for a long time, she realized that Ouyang Mingzhu's second whip had not landed. Behind her, Ouyang Mingzhu's furious voice sounded. "Huang Yitong, you've eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. How dare you stop me?" Chapter 1782. Her filthy past was exposed. 2. Zhang Zhen carefully turned her head and found that Ouyang Mingzhu's hand that was holding the whip was actually being held by a young girl wearing a yellow robe. The whip that was raised high could no longer be swung down. This yellow-robed young girl was called Huang Yitong and was also a student with a good family background. But no matter how good it was, it could not be compared to the Ouyang family. So normally, even if there were people in the Alioth branch who could not stand Ouyang Mingzhu's arrogance and hypocrisy, they only dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. But today, not only did Huang Yitong stop Ouyang Mingzhu. Facing Ouyang Mingzhu's furious expression, she even showed a mocking expression. "Haha, Ouyang Mingzhu, do you think you are still the eldest miss of the Ouyang family? Oh no, I said it wrong. Right now, we should call you Wei Mingzhu." Ouyang Mingzhu's expression suddenly changed. The deepest secret in her heart was exposed, and a trace of panic instantly appeared in her eyes. But very quickly, she covered it up with anger. What nonsense are you saying? What Wei Mingzhu, to dare slander me like this? Aren't you afraid that my brother will teach you a lesson? Who knows if Ouyang Sr. is really your brother? That's right, I said that Ouyang Sr. is such a handsome and modest gentleman. How could he have such a vicious sister? So it's just a fake, passing off fish eyes as pearls. There were also those Alioth branch students who did not know the situation and couldn't help but ask, what is going on? Why do they dare to be so rude to Ouyang Mingzhu? You still haven't heard the rumors? What rumors? Rumors say that Ouyang Mingzhu is not even a daughter of the Ouyang family. She doesn't have much blood relation with Ouyang Sr. At most, they can only be considered distant cousins. Because Ouyang Mingzhu was born from her mother having an affair with someone else. The people who heard this couldn't help but gape in shock and couldn't close it for a while. Are you joking? How can a daughter of the Ouyang family be so easily impersonated? Which adulterer is so resourceful? Another person excitedly interrupted. I know. This news is even more explosive than Ouyang Mingzhu's mother having an affair. Because it is said that the adulterer is Ouyang Mingzhu's uncle, the previous principal of our Alioth branch, Wei Tianming. As soon as this voice came out, the whole teaching building became quiet for a moment. Most of them were dumbfounded and looked at Ouyang Mingzhu in disbelief. No, he should call her Wei Mingzhu now. Wei Tianming was Wei Mingzhu's uncle and also her father. Wasn't this incest? If this was true, would Wei Mingzhu still have the face to scold Ling Yuxing for liking men? Her own parents were the real incestuous ones, weren't they? Everyone in the teaching building looked at Wei Mingzhu with disgust, and contempt. Wei Mingzhu had never thought that the secret she had tried so hard to hide would be exposed so openly. Her face was deathly pale as she screamed hysterically, "You're all talking nonsense. Nonsense! I'm the daughter of the Ouyang family. All of you shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Did you hear me? Huang Yitong. Ha! Wei Mingzhu, don't struggle there. If you and Ouyang Sr. are siblings, why do you keep stopping other women and men from getting close to Ouyang Sr.? Chapter 1783. His dirty past was exposed? 3. Do you want to look at your ugly face when you look at Godling? You're just short of writing the word jealousy on your face. Do you dare to say that you don't have any improper thoughts about senior brother Ouyang? Wei Mingzhu's body could not help but tremble. She wanted to deny it, but she found that the people around her were looking at her with more and more certainty. That kind of disgust, that kind of certainty, and that kind of hatred that wanted to trample her into the mud. Wei Mingzhu's entire body was on the verge of collapse. Her vision went black, and she wished for nothing more than to pass out immediately. Her performance indirectly proved Huang Yitong's guess. After a moment of silence in the teaching building, fierce discussions immediately broke out. This woman is too shameless. Looking at her expression, she clearly knew long ago that she wasn't a daughter of the Ouyang family. Yet she still relied on the Ouyang family's background and senior brother Ouyang's reputation to strut around in our Alioth Academy. Occupying the identity of senior brother Ouyang's sister, she actually covets senior brother Ouyang. This woman is indeed as disgusting as her mother. This time, the Tian family threatened Alcade branch, and in the end, our Alioth branch suffered a calamity. Principal Liu was removed from his position, and our Alioth branch's points were all deducted. Now, when the people from the other branches see us, they mock and ridicule us. This is all thanks to this woman. That's right. If it wasn't for her constantly bewitching us and flaunting her prowess with her lackeys, offending the Xiao Yao 7, how could our Alioth branch have fallen to such a state where everyone despises us? Huang Yitong snatched the whip from Wei Mingzhu's hand and handed it to Zhang Zhen'er. Zhang Zhen'er, this woman always bullies you. Now it's your turn to take revenge. Come, beat him hard. Beat him to death. I'll give you justice. Zhang Zhen'er shivered, and the hand holding the whip trembled. How dare you? You dare! Wei Mingzhu roared. If you dare to touch me, I'll let my brother kill you. I'm the Ouyang clan's young miss. I'm already high and mighty. Where you lowly maids? And that bullshit Xiao Yao 7. That bitch Ling Yuxing, Junmayan bitch. Bitch. One day, I'll tear them into pieces. Ah! Before she could finish cursing, Zhang Zhen'er suddenly raised the whip and lashed it hard on her body. With a loud crack, Wei Mingzhu's clothes were torn apart, and a bloody mark appeared on her arm. After she cried out in pain, she was dumbfounded. She couldn't believe that Zhang Zhen'er, who was as timid as a mouse, actually dared to hit her. Zhang Zhen'er's eyes were still brimming with tears. She looked very timid, but her almond-shaped eyes were sparkling with a stubborn light. I won't allow you to insult the great god Jun. I won't allow you to insult the 7 masters of the Xiaoyao sect. They're very powerful, and also very good people. Until now, she still remembered the peerless beauty who looked at her with a gentle gaze and asked a gentle question. What's your name? If one day, young Master Yun Xiao tells you that he likes men, would you think that he's disgusting and a pervert? Under the gaze of that pair of eyes, Zhang Zhen'er mustered her courage for the first time to publicly express her support for her idol, young Master Yun Xiao. Later on, Alioth branch and Yao Guang branch became irreconcilable enemies. But she had always been secretly watching Yao Guang branch, supporting those 7 people. Then, her adoration for Jun Mayan and the Xiao Yao 7 became deeper and deeper, even surpassing that of young Master Yun Xiao. Chapter 1784. Her filthy past has been exposed. 4. She can endure Wei Mingzhu beating her and scolding her, but she can't endure Wei Mingzhu slandering the person she respects. You actually dare to hit me? Wei Mingzhu is simply going crazy. She hysterically pounces over, her eyes bulging, her face ferocious, as if she wants to tear Zhang Zhen'er apart. You lowly woman. You actually dare to hit me. I want to kill you. Kill you. Bang! Huang Yitong lifts her foot and ruthlessly kicks her to the ground. Wei Mingzhu's hair is disheveled, crying and shouting, "Ah, ah, ah. You dare to treat me like this, my brother will never let you off. He will kill all of you." Huang Yitong sneers, condescendingly looking at her embarrassed appearance. Wei Mingzhu, you still don't know, right? The news that you're not Ouyang family's daughter was brought back by Ouyang Shixiang from Wei family. After Tianshu branch's people found out, they passed it to us. Now this news, I'm afraid everyone in the academy already knows. You say, Ouyang Shixiang will still recognize a bastard like you as a sister? Wei Mingzhu's eyes widen in horror, frantically shaking her head. Impossible, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Brother won't treat me like this. Under the ridicule and abuse of the crowd, she staggers out of the classroom, heading towards Tianshu branch. Soon, Wei Mingzhu sees the person she's been longing for at the entrance of Tianshu branch. Without waiting for the spaceship to stop, she staggers down, wanting to pounce into Ouyang Qing's arms. Boo-hoo, brother. Those bastards are bullying Mingzhu. You must stand up for Mingzhu. Ah. However, the expected gentle comfort from the man doesn't appear. Ouyang Qing takes a step back with a cold face, indifferently looking at her, as if looking at a stranger. Wei Mingzhu's heart is scared by his gaze, stuttering. Brother, what's wrong with you? Don't tell me you also heard those rumors outside? That kind of non-existent thing. Brother won't believe it, right? How could I not be Ouyang family's daughter, not your sister? Ouyang Qing revealed a faint smile. If I remember correctly, when my aunt was pregnant with you, she gave birth in less than 8 months. As soon as he said this, the few people who walked out of the Tianshu Branch Institute immediately sized up Wei Mingzhu with probing gazes. Wei Mingzhu felt as if her entire body was being pricked and bitten by ants. Her voice trembled as she said, That's because mother gave birth prematurely. Brother, I have lived with you for more than 20 years. How can you not believe me? I'm your biological sister. I'll naturally find out whether it's true or not. Ouyang Qing sneered. If Wei Kaizhu and Wei Tianming really dare to mix the Ouyang family bloodline, even if father doesn't kill you, the Ouyang family's elder council will definitely not tolerate you. With that, he swept past Wei Mingzhu without hesitation and stepped onto the flying sword. The corner of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Wei Mingzhu, Wei Kaizhu, and those who had once harmed Xiao Sheng and almost made him and Xiao Sheng separate forever. He would not let any of them off. Wei Mingzhu, you must be in great pain right now. Unfortunately, your pain has just begun. Wei Mingzhu stayed on the spot, crying hysterically at Ouyang Qing's back. Brother, you have to believe me. You have to believe me. She shouted until her throat was about to break, but Ouyang Qing didn't even turn back to look at her. Chapter 1785. Prelude to the Engagement. Wei Mingzhu turned around and met the scornful eyes of the people of Tianshu Institute. Hey, where do you think our boss is now? Do you need to ask? Every time our boss comes back to school, he always runs to the Alcade branch. In my opinion, the scene of boss and Ling Yuxing standing together is really beautiful. And the Xiao Yao 7 are so strong. Only such a person can be with boss. I don't care if boss likes a man or a woman, strong or gentle. Anyway, he is much better than a sinister woman. That's right. Poor boss. He has been treating a bastard like a sister for so many years. After the people of Tianshu Institute finished talking, no one wanted to make things difficult for Wei Mingzhu. They just left. But Wei Mingzhu only felt that his body was on the verge of collapsing. His heart was filled with anger and desperation. Who leaked the news that she was Wei Tianming's daughter? Was it Ling Yuxing, that bitch? Yes, it must be him. Wei Mingzhu bit her lips, so hard that she didn't even notice the blood seeping out from her teeth. Ling Yuxing, Ling Yuxing, Ling Yuxing, you bitch. Why do you always steal my things? Bitch, you won't be happy for long. I will definitely hack you into 1,000 pieces and make you beg for death, but unable to do so. Ouyang Qing just arrived at the Arcade branch, but found Ling Yuxing and the others were about to leave. He hurried forward, but the first thing he said was not to ask where he was going. Instead, he pulled him and looked at him nervously. Sheng, were you hurt in the battle with the Tian families? The people of the Xiao Yao school saw this scene and looked at him ambiguously. The young man's white and tender face suddenly turned red. He struggled angrily. I'm fine, let go of me. Ouyang Qing held his soft and slender hand reluctantly, but he still let go. At this time, he found that all the people of the Arcade branch were about to leave. He thought of the separation with Ling Yuxing these years and couldn't help but grab his hand nervously. Sheng, where are you going? There was a trace of pleading and uneasiness in his eyes. He grabbed his hand again. Please don't leave me again, okay? Ling Yuxing struggled for a moment, but realized that he couldn't break free no matter what he did. He could only say helplessly with a red face, we're just going to attend junior sister's engagement. You still don't want to let go? Haven't you had enough of making a fool of yourself? Ouyang Qing was taken aback. Engaged? It was Bai Xie who said the word engagement, because Di Mingju has clearly said that the truly grand wedding will be held in the Xiuxing continent. At this moment, they were announcing to the heavens and earth that the marriage alliance was established because instructor Mo wanted to settle down with their junior sister as soon as possible. Once the heavenly Tao recognized the two of them, it meant that even if the world didn't recognize them, they were husband and wife. Henceforth, no one was allowed to betray them. Once one goes back on the marriage alliance, one would not be tolerated by the heavens Tao, and one's cultivation would not be able to advance in the future. If they wanted to destroy the marriage alliance, both parties would have to be disheartened and be willing to sever their fate. They would have to make a vow to the heavenly Tao together. Only when the marriage alliance was destroyed would the two of them be able to regain their freedom. But for Di Mingju and Mu Yin, they have absolute confidence that this will never happen between them. When Bai Xie heard the process of the ceremony, he immediately sighed. Heh, isn't this just collecting the certificate and holding the engagement party first, and then choosing a good time to get married? Chapter 1786. Prelude to the Engagement Ceremony. 2. Although it has not been announced to the world, we are already legally recognized as husband and wife. Bai Xie's words are very strange, and no one really understands. But it doesn't stop the people of the Xiaoyao sect from thinking that the words engagement ceremony and legally married couple are very pleasing to their ears. Di Mingju even gave Bai Xie a lot of treasures for the sword to devour. Bai Xie had made up his mind that he must use his rich second-generation young master to cling onto his father's thick thigh. The engagement ceremony is held in a very beautiful valley at the edge of the Danyang mountain range. The area of this valley is very large, and it is not a problem to accommodate tens of thousands of people. In fact, Muyin has already bought the entire valley to be one of the bases for the Netherflame army. For this, she spent almost all the crystals she robbed from the Tian family, and owed Yin Ruhan a lot of money, and barely managed to get half of the crystals for this new Netherflame valley. And the other half was naturally taken out by Di Mingju. Bai Xie said in amazement, "Little master, your parents are really too progressive. They even made a pre-marriage property." Yes, as expected of little master's mother. However, what Bai Xie didn't expect was that this newly purchased Netherflame Valley is not under Mu Yan's name, nor is it under Di Mingju's name, but under Xiao Bao's. When Xiao Bao received the Jade token and official document that represent the identity of the Valley Master, he was still expressionless. Mother always gives him the best things, and he's already used to it. But now, he has another father. Xiao Bao touched the Jade token and thought, how can I quickly become stronger, grow up quickly, and give the best things to mother and father as soon as possible? Bai Xie is so happy that he almost fainted. So the most awesome one is you, little master. This sword spirit is so lucky to actually hug such a thick golden thigh. Huh? Mu Yin walked out of the blood slaughter sword array that has already added 130 sword chi. Her whole body is drenched in sweat, and she almost kneels on the ground. The blood slaughter sword array with 130 sword chi is really too scary. Thinking of little martial uncle's unsatisfied look as he continued to study the sword array, Mu Yin can't help but shiver. Right at this moment, a slender jade-like hand holding a cup of water passed it to her. Mayan raises her head and meets her junior martial uncle's face, which is like an orchid or a jade tree that can turn all living things upside down. Overwhelmed by the favor, she takes the water. But when she drinks, she can't help but feel suspicious. Why was youngest martial uncle suddenly so gentle to her? Was he really planning to increase the blood-slaughtering sword formation to 150? Don't! She still wants to live to attend the engagement with Di Mingju. Mu Yin gulps down a mouthful of water while trembling with fear. She hears Luo Yunxiao slowly say, "I have some things to deal with. I will leave in a while." Mayan stares blankly. Young martial uncle wants to leave? Martial uncle. 2. Martial 2, Ming martial uncle 1. Martial uncle. To I, Ming martial is I Ming I you to go. Wu, into, I Ming Xia, I Ming martial artist. 1. 2 martial to 2 and martial yin, master, to Ming martial 2 and martial 1. Luo Yunxiao raised her eyes and looked at her quietly. There seemed to be something about to overflow from those inky black eyes, but it shattered in an instant and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 1787. Prelude to the Engagement Ceremony 3. Asking for tickets, along with his pain, his despair, and his unattainable wish in this life. Sorry, I have to leave for a reason. Mu Yan's heart trembles slightly. Just now, Luo Yunxiao's eyes made her feel as if she had touched upon some taboo secret. However, in the blink of an eye, it disappears without a trace. This time, Luo Yunxiao doesn't give Mu Yin any cultivation books and sword arrays. Instead, he hands Mu Yin a small, dark green, jade-like sword. Mu Yin curiously takes the small sword and looks at it. However, the moment she touches it, her whole body trembles. In a trance, she has an intuition that this small sword is very, very valuable. So valuable that she can't imagine it at all. Young martial uncle, I can't, not waiting for Mu Yin to refuse. She hears the man's gurgling voice. Just take it as my engagement gift to you. Before Mu Yin can react, Luo Yunxiao's figure is already dozens of feet away from her. Taking another step, his figure has completely disappeared. Mu Yin clenches the dark green sword in her hand and frowns slightly. After all, it's a good thing. She carefully puts the sword into the space. It's very unusual that Qi Huang, who always forbids her to put messy things into the space and especially hates Luo Yunxiao. This time, he doesn't object, he doesn't even shout. Instead, he stares at the dark green sword in the book tower. After a long time, he lowers his eyes, making it impossible to see his expression. Master, are you crazy? You actually gave your natal sword to Mayan. Have you ever thought that if something happens to Mei Yin Yin, you will lose one of your 9 natal swords, and you will be seriously injured? Qi Wen roars at Luo Yunxiao. Moreover, you gave the most important of the 9 natal swords, the Dragon Abyss sword born from the dark unholy flame. That is the real key to becoming the Netherworld Saint Emperor. You didn't even give it to your father and mother. How can you give it to mine? Luo Yunxiao's expression is indifferent. At this time, he is standing on a mountain looking at the valley in the distance. From here, he can clearly see the scene of Mayan and Di Mingju's engagement. But Mu Yin, who was in the valley, absolutely could not see him clearly. Hearing Qi Wen's questions, Luo Yunxiao was silent for a long time before she said slowly, "The Dragon Abyss sword is always with her. It's the best way to help her break through the domain realm and condense her sword heart." The Xiaoxing continent is constantly changing, and the path she wants to take is definitely not a smooth one. I hope that the Dragon Abyss Sword can help her. Chi-Wen, help her, help her, help her. Master, why are you so stupid? If you like it, then go and fight for it. Why did you have to watch her fall into someone else's arms? You've done so much for her, yet you refuse to let her know. How? How could I have such a stupid master like you? The corners of Luo Yunxiao's lips curled up, revealing a self-mocking smile. He opened his hand and looked at his palm. A black underworld sacred flame slowly ignited and disappeared in an instant. His voice was low and deep, with infinite desolation. So what if I snatch it? So what if he fought for it? For someone like me, even if I snatch her away, can I give her happiness? Just after the Sioux hour of the night, the new Underworld Flame Valley is decorated with lanterns and colorful banners. This valley is located in a remote area, but the scenery is incomparably beautiful. Behind the Underworld Flame Valley, there is a waterfall flowing down. In the middle of the valley, there is a beautiful orchard. The flowers are blooming at this time, exuding a faint fragrance. Because of the tragic cervical spondylosis, Ozzy ran to ask for a leave from the editor. Then, after the dear editor gave Ozzy a bunch of ways to protect the cervical vertebra, she resolutely waved the whip and continued to urge him to write. In the end, the editor won. Monthly votes, asking for monthly votes. It is estimated that only monthly votes can comfort Ozzy's miserable cervical vertebra now. Here is the way to prevent cervical spondylosis. Don't lower your head, don't lower your head, don't lower your head for a long time. Chapter 1788. Predestined for 3 lives, Marriage Alliance 1. In front of the orchard, there is a blue lake. The mountains, rivers, clear sky, and trees are reflected in the middle of the lake. The cultivation of the people of the Immortal Camp is generally not high, but their skills in these strange and obscene skills are advancing like flying. With this lake as the center, they rely on the waterfall to build a temporary new dark flame valley, which only took 2 days. And Mayan and Diming Ju's engagement ceremony will be held here. Although it is said to be an engagement ceremony, it is, after all, different from a real wedding banquet. Apart from the people of the Xiao Yao sect, the Dark Flame Army, and Diming Ju's confidants, Han Yi, Ingmei, and Xinglang, there is no one else present to observe the ceremony. Even in the morning, Mayan and the people of the Xiao Yao sect were still locked in the blood-slaughter sword formation, in an abyss of fire and water, wishing for death. At this time, whether it is the bride-to-be or the bride-to-be's fellow apprentices, they are all somewhat listless. Their whole body's energy has been consumed. Mine is not wearing a wedding dress today, but a fiery red one. Her clothes are mainly white, cyan, and blue. At this time, the red dress on her upper body suddenly makes her skin as delicate and white as snow, crystal clear. That pair of watery, peach blossom eyes, with a trace of tiredness, seem to be squinting but not squinting, seemingly open but not open. When the corners of her lips are slightly raised, even the corners of her eyes are slightly raised. Her whole person is filled with a romantic charm. Her every movement is a devastatingly beautiful woman, able to hook away people's souls. Suddenly, Mayan's eyes slightly widen, staring at the man who is striding over in front of her. The tall and handsome man has changed into a new robe at some point. The red background is embroidered with golden cloud patterns. It seems like a groom's dress, but also like a crown of a superior. The man's already outstanding and perfect appearance is even more like a god, with the bearing of a dragon and the bearing of a phoenix, natural and innate. Many girls in the Dark Flame Army can't help but blush. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they simply couldn't believe that there could be such an outstanding man like Di Jun in this world. Only this kind of man was worthy of their stunning young miss. The man, who was usually cold and dignified, had an uncontrollable joy and gentleness flowing from the corners of his eyes, even though his face was still taut. Especially when he saw Mu Yin, who was dressed in red and was as beautiful as fire. His eyes fiercely deepened, and then suddenly ignited a blazing flame. Deming-ju steps forward in large strides, pulling Mayan into his embrace. He hoarsely says, "Yin Yin, after today, you won't have the chance to regret it anymore." Mayan lifts her eyes to look at him, raising the corners of her mouth into a smile. "Do I still have the chance to regret it now?" "No." Deming-ju resolutely covers that little mouth that wants to anger him to death. Not even a trace. The two of them hugged each other as they walked to the lake. Mu Yin gave this lake a name, Jingpo Lake. It was as clear as a mirror, able to reflect thousands of mountains and rivers, as well as the blue sky. Deming-ju gently raises his hand, and a stone about the height of a person appears in front of Jingpo Lake. The stone was red in color and looked extremely strange. At a cursory glance, it seemed to be the most ordinary of stones. But looking closer, one would find that the side of the stone facing her and Deming-ju was as smooth as a mirror. Their reflections could almost be seen on it. The other three sides were illusory, as if they were covered with a layer of mist, making people unable to see them clearly. Deming-ju, this is the three-live stone, or rather, this is a child stone that was peeled off from the real three-live stone, also known as the Fate Stone. Chapter 1789. Predestined for 3 lives, Marriage Alliance. 2. An ordinary marriage alliance can also be recognized by heavenly law. However, as long as one has the intention, there is still a way to destroy it. But the marriage contract carved on the Stone of Destiny is completely different. That's a marriage that has truly passed through heavenly law's approval and concluded for a lifetime. It's something that no one can abandon, and it can't be destroyed. Even if this lifetime comes to an end, because of the connection between the two names on the Stone of Destiny, they will walk together again. Deming-ju holds Mayan's hand, his eyes full of expectation and nervousness as he looks at her. "Yin Yin, I want to bind you, not for this lifetime, but for eternity. Even if the sky falls and the earth splits, even if the seas run dry and the rocks crumble, I will still be by your side, watching over you, protecting you, loving you. Similarly, I won't allow anyone to take you away from me. I'm so overbearing and stubborn. I'm so unreasonable. Are you still willing to marry me, to become my wife? Yin Yin, are you willing to make a marriage contract with me?" Mayan holds his hand and quietly looks at him. This man is too powerful and too outstanding. In the past, Mayan only followed her own heart and got to know and love this man. But in fact, she hasn't clearly thought about how to go on with Deming-ju for a long time. Deming-ju comes from the Xiaoxin continent, a world that's extremely far away from her, simply unimaginable. From the proud description of Xing Lang and the others, she can tell that the polar domain's influence in the Xiaoxin continent is enormous. And Deming-ju is the master of the polar domain, the king in their hearts. As Deming-ju's wife, she also has to shoulder the responsibility of being the mistress of the polar domain. Mayan occasionally touches upon such a distant thought, and she can't help but run away, subconsciously unwilling to touch it. However, for such a long time, even if Deming-ju knows that she's wavering and shrinking back, he has never really forced her. This man has always used his deep affection and love to tolerate all of her willfulness and stubbornness. Mayan wants to grow on her own, to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with him one day. No matter how worried Deming-ju is, he would never let his subordinates interfere with her affairs. Even more, he wouldn't stop her from risking her life to fight in the name of doting and protecting her. Mayan wants to climb to the peak of the Xiaoxin continent step by step with her own strength. She wants to reach the Xiaoxin continent and walk to his side. Deming-ju only silently watches over her, watching her. He doesn't forcefully stuff her with elixirs, jingshi, or magic weapons, because he knew that what he wanted was to truly become his wife, someone who was qualified to stand by his side. She wasn't a canary under his protection and could only survive under his care. In this world, the person who understood her the most and loved her the most was the person she loved. Was there anything more fortunate than this in the world? A bright and beautiful smile slowly blooms on Mayan's face. But without waiting for her to speak, Deming-ju has already pulled her into his embrace, hissing, "Don't think about it anymore. Even if you don't agree, I won't let you go." Mayan is all smiles as she raises her head to look at him. "Idiot. I'm thinking, should I call you husband or a Jew when we conclude the marriage contract?" Deming-ju stares blankly at first, then his ears visibly redden. He tried his best to maintain his composure, but the smile that he could not hide at the corner of his eyes revealed his current mood. He bends down, using a low and husky voice to softly say in Mayan's ear, "You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."